Earlier this week, NASCAR lost one of its true legends with the passing of Buddy Baker. A NASCAR Hall of Fame nominee, Baker's career spanned parts of 7 decades, thrilling fans with on-track excellence and later as a broadcaster, educating and entertaining them with passion, knowledge, and unparalleled storytelling. Whether behind the steering wheel or a microphone, Baker's genuine love for our sport endeared him to generations of NASCAR fans. We ask that you please join us in a moment of silence as we honor the gentle giant, Buddy Baker. Thank you. Please remain standing as President of St. Francis High School in Toledo, Ohio, Father Jeff Rose offers our invocation.
Almighty God, we thank you for another beautiful day here at MIS, and as we gather for this race, we pause to honor 3 race staff who were with us in June and have since died. Dwayne Barnes, Bob Dowd, and Steve Lyle, over 35 years of service to this great track. We pray for their family and friends and their consolation. As always, keep our drivers and teams safe as they compete for us today, and we ask this with great faith, hope, and love. Amen!
Now here to perform the Star-Spangled Banner, please welcome Michigan's very own Gina Irene Asciutto.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we once were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets brought the bombs bursting in air. Yea, through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the
An incredible crowd on hand. That man, Kyle Busch, just on top of the top 30 in points, but he has not had success here. The last 4 races, he's finished outside the top 30.
Yeah, and the weekend itself hasn't gone the greatest for him. He had a practice accident, has to start last in a backup car. It's going to be a tall tale starting from the rear.
Another guy who needs to have a good finish. Looked good in practice, but has to go to the back because of an engine change is Austin Dillon.
And I think the most improved team this year is the 3-car and Austin Dillon. Did a good job qualifying. Same thing. Got to change the engine, go to the back of the pack.
So Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon will be drivers. We'll watch to see if they can make their way from the back to the front. Potentially get a win here in Michigan. The Command's coming up next.
Guess we got a little off track, but love knows a way back through the storms and pouring rain. Got my hands on the wheel and I'm flying, heartbeat loud as the thunder rolls, riding in on a stampede of lightning. I'm bringing back the sunshine, bringing back the sunshine, baby, it's about time. Bring it back. Oh, yeah.
It's time for Sprint Cup Series racing from Michigan International Speedway. A gorgeous afternoon in the Irish Hills as the drivers have strapped into their race cars and getting ready for the most famous words in auto racing, getting a few last-minute reminders and notes as to what's going to take place on the track. Before they fire the engines, we've got to hear the command. Let's go trackside for that now.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Executive Director for the Michigan chapter of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, Michael Harris.
On behalf of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, it's with great honor that I say the three most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines.
You only have feet, front face. Want to get everything.
The high drag race package on question. What will it look like on the restarts or the main start? We're about to find out. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Sprint. Check out the new All-In plan at sprint.com/all-in. And by Coca-Cola Zero. You don't know Zero till you've tried it. Welcome to Michigan International Speedway. 70 miles from Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. Getting ready to go 400 miles here around this 2-mile racetrack. Take a look at our starting grid up front. Matt Kenseth wins the pole alongside his teammate. It's the third pole of 2015 for Kenseth, but just his first at Michigan.
In row 2, we have two-time winner at this racetrack, Carl Edwards, and Austin Dillon, who's going to the rear with an engine change.
Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch make up row 3. Kyle Busch will also have to go to the rear of the field due to a practice accident. He'll be starting in a backup car.
Back in row 4, Kevin Harvick has finished runner-up in 4 of the last 5 races here. He has a win here, but it was way back in 2010.
In row 5, we have 2 drivers with past wins on this racetrack, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Joey Logano.
Row 6, 2 drivers staring at the chase bubble cut line. Casey Kane just below, Clint Boyer just above, both looking for a win to secure their spot in the playoffs.
Back in row 7, Brad Keselowski. No Michigan-born driver has ever won at Michigan. He wants to change that stat today.
Row 8, we have Sam Hornish Jr., and the winner here in June, Kurt Busch.
Row 9 is Ryan Newman at Jamie McMurray. Ryan Newman already a 2-time winner here at Michigan.
Back in row 10, a 4-time Michigan winner, Greg Biffle, looking for a win if he wants to get in the chase. Let's talk to him.
Hey, Greg, it's Jeff Burton in the NBCSN booth. You with us?
Yeah, I got you, Jeff.
All right, there's been a lot of talk this week about this rules package. Tell us what you think is going to happen here today.
Well, like you said, we haven't been grouped up yet, going to the green like this with 20 cars around us, so we really don't know what to expect. We think it's going to be a little bit loose in traffic and a little bit tight by ourselves. But I've been around a few cars, not this many, so turn 1 is going to be exciting.
All right, Greg, this has been a really good racetrack for you. Tell us about your thoughts for today and your team.
I feel pretty good about it. Our final practice, we were pretty decent on speed and ran around the 20 car, which on the pole. So we felt like we hung with him on a new set of tires. So we think some track position, we might be able to run with these guys.
All right, thank you. Good luck. Have a good day.
Thanks.
As you see, we'll be riding along with a few different drivers. Included in that is Greg Biffle. Also, 13 of Casey Mears carrying an in-car camera. That is the Geico in-car, and he will start 40th on the field. Greg Biffle, we just heard from, starting 20th with the Sprint on board. Starting 12th, the 15 of Clint Boyer and the 5-hour Energy onboard camera. Joey Logano in the 22 starts 10th with the Coca-Cola in-car camera. Dale Earnhardt Jr. also carrying a camera. That's the Chevrolet camera. He'll start 9th today. Kevin Harvick starting 7th has the Jimmy John's in-car camera. And in the second row, starting 3rd, the Toyota onboard, driven by Carl Edwards. So it's the field working their way around at Michigan International Speedway. To find out more of the storylines we're going to be following, let's go to pit road at Mike Massaro.
Rick, it's been a rough couple of weeks to say the least for Casey Kane. A finish of 43rd in Pocono, 42nd in Watkins Glen. And with that, he's dropped deep in the standings, way down the chase grid. So much, in fact, he says his only chance of making the chase is to win a race. To do that here today, though, it will take a total team effort. And I'm not just talking about the 5 team. Casey told me that they were frustrated in practice on Saturday, so much to the point that they went to the 48 team, their Hendrick Motorsports teammates Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. They took their setup information and put it in this car today. And Casey's hoping that will be what it takes to lead to pure Michigan glory this afternoon, Dave Burns.
Mike, A.J. Allmendinger did not earn a chase-making win last weekend at Watkins Glen, so what's left? Crew Chief Brian Burns told me that today is not out of the question. He says we brought the best race car we've had all year to the track this weekend, and we really listened to A.J. this week and tried to put things on the race car that he's been asking for, even if they were way outside the box. I said, how far outside the box are you? He said, way out. Keep it on the 47, starting 26. Kelly Stavist?
4 wins and a runner-up finish in just the last 7 races. Kyle Busch is now 30th in points and chase eligible, but after damaging his car during practice yesterday, Kyle was forced to move to a backup, and even though he qualified 6th, will start from the rear of the field. This team worked hard to essentially do a wholesale rebuild to that backup car, but crew chief Adam Stevens told me there is no excuse for them to have a bad day. He said if we're clean on pit road and stay out of trouble on track, there's nothing preventing us from coming away with a top 5 finish. Marty Snyder?
Well, Kelly, this morning in pre-race inspection, the splitters on the very front part of the cars for Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano did not pass inspection. Both teams were forced to replace those splitters. Talked to Paul Wolf a moment ago. He said that will not be a factor for this team at all this afternoon. But Brad Keselowski told me what will be a factor today, the heat. He told me it might be the hottest they've ever seen inside of a race car this afternoon with this new high drag package. And also passing. He told me it might be more difficult than it's been in 15 years, Keselowski told me, which he said will make restarts critical, crazy, and chaotic. So restarts should be a lot of fun to watch this afternoon, Rick, and we get to see one in just a moment.
Absolutely.
Start of the race.
Right at the top of the race. You saw a little speedy dry going down. The track's working on that. Want to take a look at the particulars of Michigan International Speedway. 2 miles in length, 18 degrees, the banking in the corners, 12 degrees on the front stretch, relatively flat back stretch at 5 degrees. The front stretch length 3,600 feet, the back stretch 2,242 feet. Want to take a look at today's Sunoco fuel strategy. 200 laps, 400 miles, 45 miles per hour on pit road, and the Sunoco fuel window between 39 and 42 laps, Steve.
Yeah, I think 39 to 42 laps is going to be important here. When you think of Michigan, you think of track position, you think about stretching the fuel mileage, but these teams are going to have to make a decision early, Rick, because we have a competition caution at lap 20.
Competition caution coming at lap 20. There was some fluid put on the track during the truck race yesterday. They had to clean that. Now there was some fluid put down by the 98 once they started rolling, and he rolled around the apron, but they're going to want to make sure to clean that up. So they're taking care of that. They'll add a couple pace laps before we get the green. We'll take a quick break, be right back. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. We'll have some great pictures high above today. You can watch a live stream of every Sprint Cup Series race with NBC Sports Live Extra. It's available on your laptop, tablet, smartphone, and connected TVs. NBC Sports Live Extra brings you closer to every race. It's a little bit warmer today than the past 2 days here here in Brooklyn, Michigan. And because of that, we're going to see some elevated temperatures as we look at the thermometer in the 13 car of the Geico thermometer, in the 13 car of Casey Mears. And we've seen temperatures upwards of around 120, 125 degrees, probably going to be a little bit higher once this race gets underway, but they have done a few things to try to keep it cooler in the cockpit for these drivers.
Yeah, let's keep in mind with this package, the cars in the pack, they just don't have the air going to them that they've had in the past. That's part of this package, not intentionally making the drivers hot, but because of the big spoilers, because of that rear fascia extension, there is no air going underneath the cars. So these cars are really, really hot. They're sealed off to the ground. Look in the very front of the 13 car. You can see the green splitter in the very front, how close it is to the ground. There's no air going underneath the cars. So these cars are going to be really, really hot. Marty?
And Jeff, the highest temperature that Casey Mears and Booty Barker's crew chief saw in that car yesterday was 125, thanks to our thermometer. Remember, we had it in at Indianapolis. We saw temperatures around 140 at Indianapolis, so certainly warm inside the car for these guys. You guys mentioned the extra cooling, though. They've added what they call NACA ducts on the right side window, 2 little holes, and Casey told me this morning that has helped so much, just to flow air towards the driver. I know a lot of times crew chiefs don't like to do that, Steve Letarte, do they? They like to close those off, but NASCAR mandated that they be open this week, and that's made a tremendous difference for the drivers inside the car.
No, crew chiefs don't want to do that, and that's why NASCAR mandated it. They took it out of the hands of the crew chiefs, made it the same for everyone. I think that's the best way to address this issue, is to make everyone run more air to the driver, because us crew chiefs, we're selfish, and if we think we can have an advantage, we would probably take that gamble and leave them sealed up.
That's an understatement.
We're watching the 3 and the 18, come perfectly said by a driver, drop to the back of the field. The reason for these two going to the back, the 3 was an engine change, but the 18 was this yesterday in practice. Coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, you see him coming off turn 4. Everything looks fine. Has to chase the car up the racetrack. Gets loose. Real similar to what we saw here in the first race, where he overcorrected and got into the wall. This time he just let it spin. No big deal, but when he got in the grass, it just destroyed the front end of the car. So it forced him to go to a backup car.
And because of them going to a backup and having to go to the back of the field at the start of this race, he's going to be outside the top 30 in points again, which means he's not in the chase anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we're going to watch not just today, but for all 4 weeks from here through Richmond, because it's that close. It's close for all these guys, and don't think he's the only one looking at that. There are guys around the bubble that are watching Kyle Busch's progress, because whether he's in or not, moves that bubble line. That's what makes it so. You win, you're in. So you're guaranteed a spot in, but you have to be in the top 30 in points.
And I know we're getting ready to drop the green flag on a 400-mile race, but I'm going to tell you something. Talking to all the drivers, you heard Greg Biffle say it, they're nervous about driving into turn 1 this first time a lot. They're going to fan out all over the place. They haven't been in around this many cars, so they're all nervous about it. And he went from row 3 all the way to the back.
And he looks like he's going to give him a little extra room. He's way back behind the field. His teammates, though, are on the front row. Denny Hamlin on the inside. Pole winner, Matt Kenseth on the outside as they come by the front stretch. Green flags in the air. We're racing in Michigan. Around early into the apron is the 55. David Reagan slides onto the apron, back up in front of the field.
Yeah. Spun around, get it spun around here.
And the caution comes out before they get out of turn 1.
There he is, Kyle Busch. He was so far behind the pack. I mean, he was a half a straightaway behind the last car. He was anticipating that wreck. I spoke to him last night. He said, Jeff, they're going to wreck on lap 1. I'm telling you, they're going to do it. That's why he was saying so far back. Smart move.
Yeah, I mean, he knows he has a competition caution coming in lap 20. He's confident he's not going to lose a lap. We talk about the points and making the chase. He has the wins. Now he just needs the points. A crash early would be devastating to this 18 car.
Take another look at what happened. This is going through turn 1. David Reagan in the 55.
So he's on the bottom of the racetrack. The car just comes around. That's the car on the outside of you is always pulling air off. And when you have these great big spoilers and you have these rear fascias, the change between being behind somebody and next to somebody is really, really big. So it just pulled all the downforce off the car, and David Reagan lost it.
you know, what happens when you put this big rear spoiler on the car is you depend on a lot of side force, which is basically the right rear quarter panel. You're leaning against it like a crutch. You're leaning on it in the corner. But when a car goes to your outside, what do? They kick that crutch out from underneath you. You lose the grip, the right rear slides, and that's what you saw with David Reagan. He started to spin to the bottom.
And he was loose. I mean, he was loose almost before he even got to the corner. And really, really early in the corner, he was loose. And think about it. This is on a start. They're not running 199, 198 miles an hour yet. This is on the start of the race. So as the speed picks up, it will only get worse.
Number 2, clear middle. You see him up there. There you go. Come on, spin on the bottom. Spin on the bottom. You're
way up the
clear. You're
racetrack.
clear. Nice job.
And so David Reagan bringing out the first caution. Dave.
And all 4 tires appear to be up. In fact, David said it felt so bad, like I had a flat tire, but as he came to pit road, the crew was saying that they could see that the tires were not down. So there's just that feeling that a lot of guys didn't know what they would have when they got all 43 cars together. And even though that was a 2x2 incident, Steve, the air that he took off that you talked about may have been a big factor.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the air is the big factor, and it's the unknown, and that's why Kyle Busch had a plan from the start of the race, and he was just on the radio a moment ago.
Well, you won that bet. Alrighty.
We had mentioned that he was way back there. Take a look at how far back Kyle Busch was at the start.
This is Kyle Busch. I mean, Kyle Busch is famous for making it 3 wide, getting into turn 1 on restart. I mean, he's half of a straightaway behind on the drop of the green flag. So that's how convinced he was something was going to happen. I disagreed with him last night. I said, man, it's the first lap. Everybody's going to take their time. Nobody's going to spin out. He was right.
I know one thing. If the first lap was that hairy at 135 or 40 miles an hour, what's the next lap at 185 going to be like? This is going to be interesting to watch for sure.
One of the other things I'd mentioned earlier, that the banking in the turns is 18 degrees, but right down, and you mentioned this when you were driving around in the Toyota car for NBCSN, and you said that down right next to the white line, there isn't that much banking. There's a lot less banking down.
That's correct. There's less banking at the bottom of the racetrack, especially in 1 and 2. There's definitely less banking right against the white line than it is a groove up the racetrack.
So Kyle Busch will obviously restart in the back once again. We'll try it again when we return. Matt Kenseth out in front of the field. back to the Pure Michigan 400. NASCAR Mobile is the best way to follow your favorite drivers. You can build your own leaderboards, watch live in-car cameras, and listen to driver in-car audio. Go to NASCAR.com/mobile. Marty Snyder.
Rick told you before the race that Brad Keselowski promised that restarts would be crazy today, and the start of the race certainly was that. Here's what his teammate Joey Logano was the conversation with his spotter Tab Boyd about how he wanted him to keep him updated on the starts and restart of the race.
Info on the people in front of you, how much of a gap they have and whatnot. Yeah, just so if I'm tucked up, push this up on I can't see, just like Daytona. Got this restart, it's a white track, be ready for guys dive bombing, doing stuff.
And Jeff, they talk about that not being able to see. That spoiler in front of the car in front of them is just so big, it's hard to see through that, especially on these restarts when the cars are all packed together like that.
Absolutely. 2 by 2 once again. This time it's Jimmy Johnson on the inside, Matt Kenseth on the outside. We'll try it again. Green flag back in the air. Great restart by the 48 as he stays right on the inside of that 20. Carl Edwards to the inside of Joey Logano. Edwards trying to keep it right on that white line. Difficult to do already, we're seeing.
You got to know these drivers are a little bit nervous driving underneath somebody. When we saw Kevin Harvick toward the back of that pack, he made a big, bold move getting into turn 3. Got about 3 cars in that corner.
Boyer on the outside. Carl Edwards down low again. Behind him, the 14, Tony Stewart. Carl Edwards making the pass on Clint Boyer. 2 wide once again down the backstretch. This high drag package punching a big hole in the air for the cars behind these guys, especially the ones going 2 by 2.
Yeah, remember, the further back you get in that pack, the worse it's going to drive. So these guys out front, their cars aren't driving great, but the guys in the middle of the pack, their cars are not driving well at all. It's just no air being put on the cars.
Matt Kenseth in front of Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Carl Edwards, the top 5. The 18 of Kyle Busch right in the mix behind Alex Bowman in the 7. This time on this restart, he was closed into the back of the pack.
Yeah, he wanted to lay back. He wanted to be safe, but he can't lay back all day. At some point, Rick, he has to decide to try to overtake some of these cars. He's starting to work his way through the field slowly.
The big advantage right now is he knows there's a caution coming. He knows how far he needs to go to make sure he doesn't get a lap down. So with the competition caution coming in the near future, he already knows that and he can use that to his advantage.
Here comes Harvick looking to the inside of Tony Stewart. Teammates racing for position. Harvick continues to move forward. Now up to 7th for Kevin Harvick. He'll be chasing after the 15 of Clint Boyer, who's just in front of him. The 2 of Brad Keselowski closes the gap between himself and Tony Stewart. Multiple lines here. Jeff, you mentioned it with the Toyota on-track car. Many lines that you can choose from. But you have to make that decision when you enter the turns.
That's right. If you try to run the top, you have to enter on the top. You can't run the middle of the racetrack and let the car go up the racetrack. We see some debris on the racetrack. I'm not even sure what that was, but you have to commit. You have to commit if you're going to run the top or run the bottom or run the middle on corner entry. You can't do it after you get to the corner. You have to hold a constant radius.
See a little bit of debris on the track, but we stay green. See if NASCAR will make a decision about that piece on the track. Paul Menard, and there's the caution. They called it for the caution, or excuse me, the debris. The caution called for now the 2nd time.
Yeah, I think most of these drivers are hoping just to get to the competition caution without having to have another restart. Now that they've been around other cars, they know more of what their car is doing. They can go in and make a change to their car. And they were planning to do that at the competition caution. I don't think they're going to pit at this point.
And again, the competition caution scheduled for around lap 20, but this is already the 2nd caution of the day. get news, results, and highlights delivered to your inbox, subscribe to the free official NASCAR newsletter at NASCAR.com/newsletter. Initially, it was the 98 of Timmy Hill that put some fluid down on the apron and all the way through turns 1 and 2 and a little bit down the backstretch. Well, guess what? That's the 98 of Timmy Hill. And there is the oil drain pan. That's not attached to a race car, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think NASCAR will be very happy about that.
Well, a couple drivers took advantage of this caution and came to pit road. Kelly Stavis.
Kyle Busch was one of those. Why not? They had nothing to lose. They were already in the back, so they brought him down pit road. They were just taking their measurements on the splitter, making sure everything is where they want it. They noticed a little bit of wear on the right rear skirt, and while they were here, Kyle asked them to help tighten them up a little bit, so they gave him a round of wedge. No tires, no fuel on this stop, just a couple adjustments, Mike.
Austin Dillon also pitted on that stop, Kelly. He started 38th because he had to go to the back of the field and made his way only to 36. So good call by Slugger Labby to bring him down to pit road, put on 4 fresh tires. Now, Steve, what that sets up when this competition caution comes out, maybe 2 tires, maybe no tires for the 3 team, and fuel only.
Yeah, fuel only, or even at lap 20. I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't see the 3 coming to pit road at all and risk trying to break up the race a different way. When you start at the back of this field, you have to do something off sequence to get to the front. It'd be an aggressive call, but Slugger's an aggressive guy. It wouldn't shock me.
One of the rules about competition cautions are you can't put fuel in the car until the competition caution. So that changes the strategy of some of these teams, which we saw the 3 and the 18 on pit road. And some final checks once again as we've already completed 12 laps, ready to start the 13th. Green flag back in the air.
You already see how important it is with this high drag package to have help. The 22 push the 20 down into turn 1, and look at the amount of the lead that the 20 will have off turn 2.
Denny Hamlin was on the inside, and he continues to fall back. That inside line on those restarts are very difficult. Hamlin, remember, started this race 2nd. And now has fallen back to 4th, and he's fighting back now on the bottom of the track. 3 wide. Coming out of turn number 4. They stay 3 wide across the stripe and into turn number 1. Will they sort it out, or will they stay 3 wide? They do.
It's so hard where Ryan Newman was to try to make that work on the bottom, getting in the corner. He did the right thing and just kind of falling back in line. If you get, it's almost like plate racing a little bit, in that if you get hung up on the bottom and you lose that momentum, the top lane's going to be coming and you can lose 3, 4, 5 spots.
Clint Boyer able to get by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. And holding on to the 4th spot as Hamlin all over his back bumper. And we saw the car behind another car affect the way the front car handled. Saw that earlier in practice. 15 of Clint Boyer definitely looking for a good finish, potentially a win if he wants to get into the chase, Mike.
Yeah, and speaking with his crew chief Billy Scott this morning, they were pretty optimistic with this package that they can get that job done. He knew that everybody was going to be loose, but he felt relative to the competition, their car was a lot less loose than most. And we can see as he navigates his way through traffic, that might be the case. Meanwhile, the guy in front of him, Jimmy Johnson, he's another guy saying he's been loose throughout the course of this run. Chad Knaus got on the radio during that caution and say, hey, Jimmy, keep the car as close to the front as possible, because the further you go back, the looser that car is going to get.
Good strategy by the crew chief. Keep it toward the front.
Well, I mean, you know, it's obvious you want to be toward the front, but I think it's even more so with this package. All these drivers that are back in the pack, we're hearing them talk about how loose they are behind other cars. So track position could mean more today than it normally does, because, you know, if you're running 3rd versus 15th, that's a huge difference in how your car drives. And the other thing, Steve, is how do you adjust your car? If you're back there in 15th, you've got a handling problem that you're not going to have in 3rd. So if you adjust your car when running 3rd and you fall back to 15th, well, you got a completely different problem.
Yeah, this battle between the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. and the 11 of Denny Hamlin, it's a perfect example of Michigan, what we talked about at the top of the show. Unlike Indianapolis, when there's only really one way to go through the corner, there's at least two possibly later in the race, 3 lanes as it widens out towards the top. The 78 is faster. He continued to chase that white line. Denny Hamlin ran the middle line that allowed the 78 to get some air to the nose of his race car and complete the pass.
And we heard drivers talking about it's going to be impossible to pass. Martin Truex started 22nd. So if you have a fast race car, you can pass. It's not that you can, but you have to have a better race car. That's one of the things that is so hard about passing today is these cars are so equal in speed. But Martin Truex started 22nd, and he's running 5th in 18 laps.
There's Greg Biffle just in front of Kyle Larson. 2 drivers really need to get a win if they want to make it into the chase. Jeff Gordon already in the top 16 in points, but not locked in.
You know, I love that point you make, Jeff, about, you know, someone's out there passing. I believe every time you come to a track with a rule change, any sort of adversity, anything different for the field, what's the mindset coming in? Someone is going to leave Michigan a winner. Someone today at the end of 400 miles is going to be a winner. These 2 guys in the screen, Greg Biffle in the 16, Kyle Larson in the 42, they need it to be them to punch a ticket into the chase. Jeff Gordon right behind him also looking for that win. The mindset, the approach to this race needs to be that someone's going to win. Why can't it be you? And be open-minded and continue to work on your car.
Kyle Larson, since the restart, had moved 10 spots. Now make that 11 as he gets by the 16, or excuse me, was at 9, now moves up to 10. He and Almirola have both passed 10 cars since the restart. So there are guys out there that are making the move toward the front.
Yeah, no question. It's difficult. I mean, it's, you know what? Racing's supposed to be difficult. It's hard to pass these cars. These are good cars that you're having to pass. So, but there are cars making it happen. I mean, 10 spots, 7 spots. That's a lot of people to be passing since the restart and not that many laps.
Matt Kenseth out in front. He's got a 2-second lead now over Joey Logano. Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., the top 5. Denny Hamlin has fallen all the way back to 6th. Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., the top 10. Biffle currently 19th. You see Jeff Gordon making the move, and the competition caution comes out. So now the teams will have to decide if it's way too loose. How do you fix that, crew chief?
Well, you know, that's really the challenge, because the challenge is, why are you loose? If you're loose because you don't have enough wedge or dynamic setup in the car, you can crank on the wedge bolts and fix that. But if you're loose purely because of aerodynamics, it's very hard to adjust that. And it's like Jeff mentioned, if I go to pit road and I'm convinced that I can fix this car and I tighten it way up, and next thing you know, you have clean air and the car won't make the corner because it's tight. That is the biggest challenge. Today is going to be about compromise. Who has the best car in and out of traffic? Because even the leaders eventually are going to be lapping cars. They're going to find traffic. It's only 2 miles. There's 43 cars out there. They're all going to have somebody in front of them at some point.
And even if you think 4 tires are better than 2 or 2 are better than none, are you better off with track position or a better handling car? Because track position fixes a lot of things. Sure. So that's another thing the crew chief's got to make a decision of. And the drivers have to be communicating. I got to be telling my crew chief, hey, look, here's a problem I've got. I know I'm going to have to deal with this, but don't get me in 15th. Putting 4 tires on this car is not going to help me. It's going to hurt me. So that's a communication the driver and the crew chief has got to have. And every car is different. There's not a formula that works for every car. Every car is different.
And if you pit right now, you will not start in the front row, because someone is staying on the racetrack. Someone's going to stay out and get that track position. Maybe it's Austin Dillon. We saw them put tires on. He's still back in 42nd. Maybe Slugger Labbe decides to stay out and try to get track position.
Who will gamble and stay on the racetrack, as quite a few are ducking off of the racetrack and onto pit road. Mike?
Jimmy Johnson saying his car is loose, especially off of turn 2 and into turn number 3. It appears to be a right sides only call on the 48. Meanwhile, the 15 of Boyer also going right sides only. The balance on that car neutral. Marty.
Joey Logano, bottom left of your screen, says the car is actually tight, especially in 3 and 4, and it gets worse every lap. Planning on a 2-tire stop for Joey Logano. Bottom right of your screen is Matt Kenseth. There'll be 2 tires for him as well. He said he needs more overall grip, but he needs to lean on the car a little bit more in 3 and 4. Looks like Joey Logano wins the race off pit road.
And we take a look at the race off pit road, brought to you by Geico. Kenseth, Logano, Keselowski, Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the top 5 off pit road. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway as the competition caution has come out. It was the third caution of the day already. And Austin Dillon in the 3 decided that they would stay out on the track. They came in the previous caution, put tires on that car. Now we'll see if they can stay out front. Back to racing in Michigan. '48 of Jimmy Johnson making it 3 wide as they go into turn 1. Will the momentum keep the 3 in front? Kenseth trying to hang on to that bottom. Not able to do it. He washes up the track, so Austin Dillon will hold on to the lead on the restart.
Yeah, we have. We've seen that outside lane definitely be the most dominant lane through 1 and 2 on these restarts.
And we've seen speed out of Austin Dillon this weekend. They did have to change a motor, so they went to the back of the field to start this race. But now, through some pit strategy, they've been able to move up into the lead as we've got 3 wide for second.
Logano went way up the track. Kenseth stayed in the gas, got around him. And then when that happened, it slowed the momentum down to 22, and he lost 3 or 4 spots.
Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr., second and third. Brad Keselowski falls behind the 15 of Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer, one of those bubble drivers, has to get into that top 16 and stay there, or potentially a win to lock him in.
Busch on the outside of Jimmy Johnson carried a lot of speed through the middle of 3 and 4, was able to move on the outside of him. The 78 making it 3 wide on the bottom.
Big move by Martin Truex Jr. to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get by both the 4 and the 48. What a move by Martin Truex Jr. Is that a product of this high drag package?
Absolutely. What you're seeing there is a guy with a little bit of momentum with 2 cars side by side. They really stall one another. That's not only hurting those 2 cars, but giving a big draft to the 78 who is behind him.
Great run by Martin Truex Jr. to get by those 2 cars. Mike?
And you know, Rick, I spoke with Cole Pern, the crew chief for the 78 this morning, and he was rather optimistic despite the fact that they were starting 22nd. He felt like they really adapted to this package very well throughout the course of practice on Saturday afternoon. What he did tell me was that if we can get to the front, we will be able to contend for the win. And while it seems like his concerns can be put to rest, they are moving fast toward the front, guys.
Once again, he's behind 2 cars. Can he take advantage of this and slingshot by once again? Looks like he's going to work by the 41 as they go by the 11. Can he continue to make the pass? No, the 41's going to stay in front of him. But it looks as though he's found some opportunities to get by some of these other drivers when they go side by side in front of him, Jeff.
Yeah, no question. We saw earlier, look at Truex behind Johnson, Harvick. They're side by side, and that just slows them down. So he gets a big run, makes a left, and just clears all of them. So like Steve talked about a moment ago, 2 cars side by side creates a tremendous amount of drag. We've seen side drafting at Daytona and Talladega. Think about that, how when you pull next to somebody, you slow that car down. That's what we're seeing here. You slow the car down, you get a run, and then you try to clear both of them.
Yeah. Looks like he's got a run now on Kurt Busch. Gets right up to that back bumper.
Patience is a key, though. If you take that run before it's ready and you lose your momentum, you're going to lose a tremendous amount of time. So Martin Truex is being very patient, waiting to the corner, trying to get an advantage. There's something he's feeling in the seat. There's a certain amount of run he needs before he wants to pull out a line.
And you can see the 78 when he got behind the 41, he got loose. You saw the car wiggle a little bit as he started up the racetrack, and now you see him catching back, getting into the corner. So that's a product of this package. Loose behind a car, but then you gain back on the straightaway, ultimately trying to keep the cars closer together.
And when you talk about information, it's not just for the driver, it's also for the crew chief. Look at Austin Dillon. Look at the lead he has over the 20 of Matt Kenseth. Crew chiefs on pit road are paying attention to this. First of all, this is a shot in the arm for any race team because you want to know that you have a car that can lead the race. And Slugger Labbe and Austin Dillon are proving that to themselves right now. They came and put 4 tires on at lap 11, decided to stay out at lap 20. Now, while they're at a big disadvantage for fuel, they're not at a disadvantage for speed. This tells me if I'm a crew chief, I'm instantly making a note. I'm racing this race backwards. I'm getting really aggressive. Whatever I can do to get track position late, even if it's on old tires, Marty.
Steve, we predicted this when he pitted on lap 11 that they could possibly stay out at the competition caution. Exactly what Slagger Labby decided to do. And when they restarted this time, he made it very clear to Austin, push as hard as you can, get as far away from you can from second place. Don't save any fuel, don't worry about that. The problem is they have to pit about lap 40, so they're hoping for a caution between now and then, and that lap 40 number coming up awfully quick, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, but even if he gets a big enough lead, I don't think he has one right now. You know, Michigan used to be a racetrack you wouldn't lose a lap on. But now that we've repaved this track, they're going around there so fast as we see a great battle between the 22 of Joe Logano, the 19 of Carl Edwards. You know, he's going to lose a lap, but we talked about it. These bubble guys, you can't sit back and wait for this race to fall in your lap. If you want to win, if you want to make the playoffs, you're going to have to go out and try to take the race away.
It's risk versus reward. If the caution comes out after Austin Dillon pits, he'll be a lap down, but guess what? He won't have to pit the next time, so he'll get the free pass, so he'll get back in the lead lap. The free pass, when that rule was inducted years ago, it changed the strategy at some of these racetracks. The penalty for pitting early and going a lap down is not near as big as it used to be. When you're a team that has to win a race to get in the chase, it's a gamble worth taking because the risk is not that big.
Austin Dillon, one of those drivers that's outside the top 16. If he could get a win, he could be in the chase. Mob Steel premieres tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN, where classic cars become modern street machines. Mob Steel works to rebuild Detroit one classic car at a time. Mob Steel premieres tonight after NASCAR on NBCSN. Great classic cars here in the infield. One car that's classic in front of the field has been Austin Dillon. They used pit strategy, and he now has almost a 3-second lead over Matt Kenseth. We mentioned that heat might be an issue in today's race because of the way this high drag package works. We've got a thermometer on the 13 of Casey Mears. We look inside the cockpit, and already 154 degrees in the cockpit.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. You see here right against the right headrest of Casey Mears, 154 degrees already. it's only 38 laps in this race. This is going to become a story as this race wears on. To continue to run these long green flag runs in this high heat is going to take a lot out of the driver, Jeff.
Yeah, what's amazing is his climbing. We've been watching this for a while. You know, it started watching as like 151, and just a few minutes it's gone to 155. So it'll be interesting to see how hot it does get. That's where conditioning comes in. I mean, these drivers have to be in shape. They got to find a way to get water in. They got to find a way to get any kind of fluids that's good for them. Every driver has a different opinion about what's good for them, but you've got to put fluids in this kind of day.
And he turned to the right there. That's not a good
That's
sign.
loose.
That's got to get you a little warm under the collar as well when Casey Moon has to turn back to the right as he's going through the turn. Carl Edwards just in front of the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. had been really forging his way through the field, now looking to the inside of the 19, trying to take that spot away. That's a battle for the 8th spot. Can he make the pass stick as they come out of the turn? Onto the front stretch. He has the advantage when they get to the start-finish line.
See, he turns left to try to get as far away from the 19 as he can to create that buffer so that he doesn't get that side draft and try to slow him down. The negative to that, the angle at which he has to approach the corner is wrong. He enters the corner really low. He wants to enter the corner where Carl Edwards is, but because he's low, he has to enter the corner and make a really sharp corner turn in the middle of the corner.
And look how big of a difference that is as he goes all the way back about 3 car lengths. We see the 3 of Austin Dillon has to come down to pit road. He did not come onto pit road during the competition caution, so this is for fuel. He'll give up the lead to Matt Kenseth. Marty.
And Rick, as predicted, this is when Slugger Labby said Austin Dillon would have to come down pit road. Slugger Labby also told me this is within their window, so they should be fine as long as all of this cycles out. They're going to go 2 tires here for Austin Dillon, and he said the car handles so much different out front than it did when he was in traffic. A little bit longer stop for these guys for a 2-tire stop, taking a while to get all the fuel in. 10.8 on the stop. Kelly.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car trying to hold off Clint Boyer for that second position. Right now he's saying he's just having a hard time figuring out how to drive it into the corner. You know, we've talked a lot about the dominance of Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske. Well, I asked his crew chief Greg Ives where Hendrick Motorsports has been coming up short as of late, and he said, look, this sport is cyclical. That's just the nature of the beast. I don't know that JGR has always had the best cars, but they're executing and taking advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. He said, look, we just need to make our cars, we need to improve the drivability of them, we need more speed, good stops, and good pit calls, and we'll be back on track.
You know, and to follow up on that strategy for the 3, we heard Marty Snyder report that they took only 2 tires and waited on fuel. What that did is that allowed them to have maybe a 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds shorter pit stop. What that did is it put him out on the racetrack just behind the leader of the 20. So he did lose a lap, but he's instantly in the lucky dog position. And if those cooler right side tires prevail, perhaps he can unlap himself.
And now he's out of the same pit cycle as everyone else on the racetrack. So Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Clint Boyer, Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski, the top 5. Mike.
Just a moment ago, Rick, Eddie DeHaan, Jeff Gordon's spotter, radioed to Jeff saying, hey, you've got a little bit of trash on the grill right now, to which Alan Gustafson quickly responded asking for temps on the car. Jeff said 240 water, 250 oil, so they're watching that real closely right now. But with this package, guys, obviously in these types of situations, what a driver normally wants to do is get as close to the rear of a car in front of them and try to have that debris blown off. But with this package, it's awfully difficult to do, so Jeff may have a little bit of an issue to pay attention to. Dave?
Mike Paul Menard of the 27 car is making progress. He's passing cars 4 positions since the restart. And isn't there an alliance between the 78 of Truex and the 27? Yes, of course, RCR. So those guys have made some gains before they ever got here in terms of how they're going to work this package. And it looks like they've hit on something. Paul Menard's going the right way.
Paul Menard just a couple spots behind Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. running 8th. As you look at the chase bubble, points ahead of 17th. Paul Menard has a 76-point lead. Newman sitting in that 16th spot, 62 points ahead of 17th. 20 in the 47. This is just moments ago. 20 right up against the 20, or the 20 up against the 47, and the 47 got loose, came back down the racetrack.
And you see how loose the 47 is. 20 gets right behind him, pulls a little air off of him, and can see the hands inside the car, how much he had to work it to keep the car straight. This is the story Steve was talking about a little while ago. Austin Dillon is right behind Kenseth. If Austin could get in front of Kenseth, that would be huge, because that would put him in the lead lap. If he did get the caution, then he could pit on the same sequence as everybody. That would be a big deal for Austin Dillon's ability to win this race.
And this excites me, Jeff, because the Austin Dillon came out of pit road onto the racetrack about a second and a half, 2 seconds behind the 20. But he's been able to run the 20 down with those fresh right side tires, and looks like he perhaps will pass the 20. That is more speed than I thought fresh tires were going to have. So this is unique. I didn't know if he'd have a chance to unlap himself, but he's working very hard at it.
Got a slow car on the back. It's the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. The right rear tire looks to be down. He's staying right at the bottom of the racetrack, but it looked as though that right rear tire may be down or low. Mike.
Here we come, guys.
And Rick, great observation. Jimmy does think he has a tire going down. He's going to come down pit road here to make a change. A little bit of a wiggle as he locks up the brakes heading down pit road. Finally hits his marks, and the team goes to work on the right side, trying to make that change. Keep in mind, last time down pit road, they changed right sides only. They're going to go to the rights and now to the left. A 4-tire change on Jimmy Johnson. Also an air pressure change. He was very loose during the course of that run. And although he lowered the track bar on his own, it didn't tighten it up quite enough.
You saw the crew member jumping back over on the right side to see if there was clearance on that tire. And they will check the right rear to find out what actually happened, why it went down.
Sometimes very hard to tell. You know, you're going to look for a hole in the tread of the tire that was flat, or look maybe on the sidewall of the tire where maybe it rubbed something in the sheet metal. But when you ride as far as Jimmy Johnson did on a flat tire, it continues to do damage to that tire. So sometimes the evidence isn't as clear as you hoped it would be.
Race leader Matt Kenseth working by some of the slower cars on the track, putting more a lap down. And right now, the three of Austin Dillon not in that lucky dog position. Welcome back to the Irish Hills. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Biggest mover of the day since the start of this race, Kyle Busch. He has already made up 26 positions. Presented by Sprint. Join All In Wireless from Sprint. Get unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data. And pick your smartphone for just $80 a month. Big mover, Kyle Busch, 26 spots. Marty, what's going on with the 13?
Well, it's really hot inside the car now because Casey Mears upset because the engine has had an issue. First he said there was no water pressure. It went to zero all of a sudden, but the car was running fine. Then what happened is a radiator hose, a radiator hose was knocked off. They're going to try and replace that, but it looks like the damage probably already done to the 13 car. Casey has put the window net down. Buddy Barker instructing the team, trying to salvage this day, but it looks like it might be an early end here for Casey Mears.
David Reagan is on pit road. He said at the beginning of the race, I was a 4 to 5 loose. This time I'm just a 2 to 3 loose. So they're making progress as he gets Sunoco fuel and 4 Goodyear tires. Chassis adjustment for wedge for Reagan. They wait on the left front and he's out of here.
You see the green bars below some of the drivers on the top of your screen. Some of them will be yellow. If they have a win and are in the top 30 in points, they will have a green bar and Chase underneath their names. If they're in the top 16 in points without a win, they'll have a yellow bar underneath their names. And that is as they run on the track. So that means that Kyle Busch, as he is running in the 14th position, he is currently in the top 30 in points, which means he will have a green bar underneath his name, being in the chase with his 4 wins. Comes Carl Edwards in the 19, another one of the drivers with a win and in the chase. Kelly.
And he took 2 tires on his first stop. He started off okay, but now he's saying, I am loose, and getting worse in traffic. I just don't know what to tell you. That's what he said to Darian Grubb, his crew chief. You'll see that they're going to give him 4 new Goodyear tires, pack them full of Sunoco fuel.
And a little bit early, Steve, for coming in. I mean, they came on pit road on lap 22, so we would have expected them to be able to go 40 laps.
Yeah,
about 5 laps early.
Maybe a little bit early, but how about 5? This is a perfect example of a mistake. He's lost a lap, spent on pit road, lost his track position. Doesn't seem to be too early because here comes the 78, Mike.
And Martin Truex Jr. saying that he was a little bit loose in turn number 2 over the course of that run. Only took 2 tires on the last stop, so they'll go with 4 here and a full load of Sunoco race fuel, trying to get Truex off pit road as quick as possible, just over 13 seconds, Marty.
Mike, for Kevin Harvick, he said the car is just very erratic. When he's by himself, it feels one way. When he's in traffic, it feels a completely different way. Because of the fuel load, they're going to take 4 tires here. They take a packer out of the left front and also 1 round out of the left rear. Kelly?
Sam Lawrence Jr. saying, I just cannot get it through the corners. I can't turn the wheel. It's too tight everywhere. So they're going to make an adjustment to help him out in the 9 car. He's also going to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. The 41 of Kurt Busch said it's plowing through the center and will not get off the turns. He's been using the track bar inside the car, and crew chief Tony Gibson saying, no, that's killing your center, but you need it on the straights. 4 tires for Kurt Busch, Marty.
Brad Keselowski's been able to stay in the top 10. Kelly, you're going to see a wedge adjustment for him. He said 2 tied in and 3 off. It's also going to be 4 tires for that 2 car. Here comes Matt Kenseth down pit road, and he said when he was out front, the car was fairly good, but in traffic, he felt a little bit loose, and he lapped a lot of traffic during that run for Matt Kenseth. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for the man who led much of this run for Matt Kenseth. Kelly?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was running second. He said he had good grip everywhere else, but just loose entering the turns. They talked about going back on an adjustment they made on his previous stop, but they might leave it as is. 4 tires for the 88, Marty.
Joey Logano said it's not as tight on this run as it was the first run. You see the 4 tires going on, but he said the front end just wouldn't turn the longer they went in the run. A wedge adjustment trying to loosen up that 22 car, Rick.
Big race off pit road. Joey Logano just in front of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. As we cycle through these pit stops, we will see how many end up on the lead lap. Paul Menard in as well as Kyle Larson. Dave.
Paul Menard is on pit road now, a little tight early center, but he also had an RPM fluctuation, was watching that. We'll try to monitor that throughout the day, but he'll get 4 Goodyear tires and full of Sunoco fuel on the 27, Marty.
Kyle Larson, he said his car was loose much of that run like everybody else in traffic. You see the big wedge adjustment for Kyle Larson and 4 tires for that 42 car. And he said a little bit snug as the run went along.
Once again, cycling through these green flag pit stops. This is going to help Austin Dillon move right back up toward the front as Jeff Gordon comes in. Mike?
Not too long ago, Rick, we saw that big piece of debris on the grill. There's still some there sticking to the grill. They'll try to clean that, I'm sure. A 4-tire change expected for Gordon, who's been saying the car has been decent. They're only concerned that they're grabbing for it. They missed it. They missed it. The debris still on the grill as he pulls away.
You see that little bit of paper that's underneath or at the lower part of the grill opening.
And the crewman tried to do it a little bit too quickly. I don't think it's enough to hurt anything. I mean, certainly it's not optimum, but there's the way it is, it's kind of thin and long. I don't think it's going to block too much radiator up.
Comes a couple more cars onto pit road, including the 18 of Kyle Busch. Kyle was scored the race leader. Kelly.
It's been our big mover of the race. Remember, he had a start from the rear. The last time through, he had a full service pit stop and had 4 fresh tires. This time, Kyle saying, I'm free on exit, but not too bad as you see the team goes to work. And it's going to be 4 tires again for Kyle Busch in the 18 and a full load of Sunoco fuel.
Team pit stop for the 18 as they're working their way off of pit road. Austin Dillon, Matt Kenseth fighting for the lead. Matt Kenseth trying to get back by the 3. After he had his green flag pit stop, Kenseth back to the front.
And certainly Austin wants to lead, but I tell you, with all of the strategy they're playing, they're okay that it went green and he's in second place because no damage, right? At some point the caution will come out. So the strategy that they used has got them leading laps, has got them running second. So right now that strategy is perfect.
Yeah, and Jeff, we talk about the opportunities on green flag pit stops, what can go good, what can go wrong. Well, as a driver, when you're coming down pit road and you see a guy in the stall before yours, that has to concern you.
No question. You see Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming in. The 33 is all the way in his stall, which means that Junior's got to stay out. If not, he's going to hit these crew members. So he has to stay way out, which gets him long in his pit box. He's locked up. So that's very, very difficult. It's scary because you, number one, don't want to hit somebody, but number two, it messes up the pit stop for everybody.
Yeah, and that definitely costs time. With, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. still running third. He was third before the pit stop, but he was only 8.5 seconds behind the leader. Now he's 10.5 seconds behind the leader. So he lost over 2 seconds to the leader just having to come around that car in the pits.
So again, different pit strategies and cycles for the top 2. Matt Kenseth and most of the field came on lap 59. Austin Dillon, who's running second, he came lap 41. So he'll have to be on pit road in the next 15 laps. Welcome back to the Pure Michigan 400. Get the ultimate pass to every moment of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race from Michigan with Race Buddy. You can choose from multiple HD feeds of different drivers. Follow the race action with a live leaderboard. All you have to do is tune in to NASCAR.com/Race Buddy. Let's go to Marty Snyder with today's Subway Fresh Take.
Well, Rick, Kevin Harvick has been running in the top 10 the entire day, and just some observations from him throughout the day. He says when he's by himself, and we said this when he pitted a moment ago, his car's perfect. It's fine. He's very happy with the handling. But when he gets behind someone, it's, quote, terrible. Just a completely different car, and it gets extremely loose. So he's trying to get around cars as quickly as he can. That's tough to do. So my question for you, Steve and Jeff, how do you fix that? If you're Rodney Childers, what do you do to the race car? Can you fix it? And how do you make his day more manageable when it's one car when you have clean air, a completely different car when a car's in front of you?
I know this is not going to be the popular answer, Marty, but I wouldn't touch it because I think if the car handles well by itself, then you have a good balanced race car. I think aerodynamics and the effect of air on your car from other cars is not something you're going to fix with air pressure or a wedge wrench. All you're going to do is take speed out of your car by itself, Jeff. As much as the driver doesn't want to hear it, he's going to have to find a way to, I'm not going to say make it drive good, but overcome it the best he can and manage it all day.
And the other way is get out front.
That's right.
I mean, play some kind of strategy. Do something kind of unorthodox the way we saw Austin Dillon do with his team. Just do something different to get your car up front.
How about a different line? Can you choose a different line in this situation? Like he's right behind the 19 as we see a good battle here between Clint Boyer in the 15 and the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Could they choose a different line to get a better handling car?
Well, that was one of our hopes coming into Michigan, is that this racetrack would widen out. The groove would get wider and wider, and the cars could go in different grooves. But so far, we haven't seen that. We have a caution.
A little bit of debris in turn 2, and the caution comes out. So now how does this play into the hands of all of the, say, top 5 or top 10? Austin Dillon on a different pit cycle. Will everybody come onto pit road?
Everybody will come onto pit road. Now, Austin Dillon will require more fuel, so he's not going to come off pit road in second. He's going to lose a few positions on pit road, but he is going to be a net huge gain. Remember, he was 42nd when he did this strategy, Marty, and now he's going to cycle towards the front.
This was a huge break for these guys. Maybe, and I say maybe because they just told him, as spotter Andy Houston just said, I need max save from you right now. We are stretched as far as we can go. They want to make sure they get back to pit road because they were coming down pit road this time. So as long as he can limp back to pit road, this should be a huge break for Slugger Labbe and Austin Dillon.
One potential advantage is that the 20 car of Kenseth has lapped so many cars that there may be spacing between the 3 car and the next car on the lead lap, because there are a lot of lap cars between Austin Dillon in the 3 car and Earnhardt Jr. So that could play into helping Austin Dillon come off pit road better than he would have been.
Now, come on, Crew Chief Jeff Burton. Is that new information you knew this year, or did you know that when you were a driver?
Man, I've been paying attention for a long time.
I like that. That's great. That is a great point. It's not just where you're running position-wise, it's where you're running on the racetrack, and there are a ton of lap cars behind the 3 of Austin Dillon.
When the caution came out, Jamie McMurray was the last car on the lead lap. Jamie McMurray running 18th. So there are quite a few cars that are 1 lap down. Field tucking in behind the 20, and is pit road open? It must be, because here comes the 3. Austin Dillon chose to come onto pit road. Quite a few are staying out. Kelly.
As Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes his way down pit road, he said he got really loose when he was behind another car, and it was the first time that it had happened this race. It was experiencing something a little bit different. It was going over with crew chief Greg Ives on the adjustments they had made so far in this race, and it's going to be a fuel only for the 88, Marty.
Kelly, a little bit of a split strategy here. It's going to be 4 tires for Austin Dillon, who ran up front, obviously made it to pit road just fine. Pack it full of Sunoco fuel if they can, and they wanted to clean the grill as well. Slugger Labbe said that a couple of times, but Rick, a number of cars stayed on the racetrack.
Absolutely, and so that really almost foils the plan of the 3 staying out on the track, or coming in this time, but staying out earlier. So
I still like the plan, Rick. I still like the plan.
They're going to have to restart a little deeper in the field. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by Toyota. Let's go places. A gorgeous setting. You see the sunflowers here in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Restart coming up, and they have been interesting to say the least. You guys both mentioned that would be one of the things we're going to have to focus on today with this new high drag package.
And we have seen the restarts right here at one of the early starts. Nobody's really pushing anybody, so everybody's just kind of staying side by side. Nobody's gaining any advantage.
Yeah, and then later you see the 22 pushing the 20 on that outside lane. That's a huge advantage for the 20 of Matt Kenseth. He easily takes the lead down into turn 1.
But then the next restart, the 3 of Austin Dillon on the outside with no help, as that preferred line is able to stay out front.
I think you're going to see the leader pick the outside pretty much all day today. You're able to carry your momentum on the outside. There's nobody taking air off your car when they're underneath you. If you're on the outside of the car on the bottom, that car on the bottom is having all the air pulled off the side of his car, taking that downforce away and the side force. So the outside line, I believe, will be the preferred line all day.
Once again, we need to keep our eyes on the chase grid, especially the bubble drivers. Those 12 through 16, and even down into 20th, Kyle Larson. As they run, Ryan Newman with a 60-point advantage over Eric Almirola in that 16th spot. But we saw just moments ago Austin Dillon out front. If Austin Dillon could win this race, everything changes by 60 points. So you move all of these drivers down that are in by points, and Ryan Newman would be on the outside looking in. And a lot of changes about to take place, and that's why we're going to keep our eye on it with just 4 races to go before the chase. We're back to racing in Michigan. On the outside, Matt Kenseth. But Clint Boyer with an incredible restart on the inside has the advantage as they go into 1. Can he hold on to it?
And look at the 3 wide racing. There's 4 or 5 rows of 3 cars trying to get off the exit of turn 2.
3 wide down the backstretch as they head into turn 3. Kenseth back in front of Boyer. Is the track widening out? Is that why we're seeing 3 wide?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting really loose in the middle of the corner, gave up a lot of ground on the guys behind him.
Well, the track's maybe not widening out as quick as they'd hoped, but the laps are running out. So this is only getting more and more crazy as this race progresses. Restarts are somewhat important at the start. They'll be vital in the last 50 laps of this race.
And who will make the biggest gamble to try to get a win? Potentially here to lock themselves into the chase, or if they gamble to get a win so that someone doesn't have that opportunity to lock themselves into the chase.
So Ryan Newman caught the 19 and the 6 side by side. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is still real loose on the outside.
He's trying to run that high line and continues to get very loose. 3 wide in front of him. Paul Menard all the way to the bottom of the track. Kyle Larson in the middle. Kurt Busch on the outside.
Look at that momentum. The 27 had enough momentum to get 3 wide down the front stretch, but then the car just stalled out when he was pushing his own air, not drafting anyone. That allowed the 42 and the 41 to go around on the outside.
Looks like the 31 a little bit slower as the 3 of Austin Dillon working by Ryan Newman. Clint Boyer running second. Now has a mirror full of Martin Truex Jr. behind him.
And we've talked all day about people complaining about their cars in and out of traffic, but Martin Truex Jr. has gained a ton of spots from the start of this race, and they've really all been on the racetrack. No real creative pit strategy out of the 78. Cole Pern has just put a fast race car under Martin Truex Jr., and he continues to pass his way through the field.
And look who's behind him. Kyle Busch. He started dead last, so he's up to 4th.
Had the big win at Pocono earlier in the season. It almost plateaued after that, but now it seems as though the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. on a little bit of a resurgence, looking stronger as we close in on the chase.
And Clint Boyer and his team, they've really improved a great deal over the last several months. Also running second. This was a team early in the year that couldn't get in the top 20 almost, and now they have a chance to get a really good finish, and it's important for them. They're one of the teams that's worked their way back into the chase by having some good finishes. They can't afford any more bad ones.
Hard on the throttle, down the backstretch they go. You see the speeds getting upwards 196 miles an hour as they go into turn 3.
You see the 78, that's a great handling race car that can enter at the middle of the racetrack, but turn down underneath the 15. Your car has to be so good. And then you heard the 15 just barely breathe the throttle. He's letting the 78 get back in front. He doesn't want to go into turn 1 side by side. He wants to get back in lane, lose as little time as possible.
Was that how you have to orchestrate a pass? We just saw Martin Truex Jr. right on the back bumper of the 15, waited for the perfect moment, and then able to get by the 15 and take that position.
Yeah, I think so. And to be honest with you, I don't know that's a whole lot different than what we've seen in the past. You know, a faster car, ultimately, it's just got to find a way to be where the car in front of him is not, and be a little bit lower, a little bit higher, and ultimately try to get side by side with him. You know, we've seen the restarts, how crazy they are, and we've talked about this aero package. Look at Brad Keselowski, Ryan Newman, and Carl Edwards leaving the corner. You see Newman try to make a move underneath the 2. He got really loose, and when he lost that momentum, here comes the pack. He lost like 3 spots in that one move. Watch the 31. He's right here. The 2 gets loose, the 31 gets looser, the 19 takes advantage of it, and the 3 of Austin Dillon takes advantage of it also.
After the restart, Austin Dillon up to the 12th spot. Joey Logano just in front of Kevin Harvick. Harvick, one of the stronger cars once again. Harvick, so many second place finishes here at Michigan. And looking to get back to victory lane after winning 2 races early in the season. Kevin Harvick has been so strong, has multiple second place finishes, but hasn't been able to get back to victory lane since the beginning of the year.
Much like the 78 we were showing earlier, the 4 of Kevin Harvick was able to enter basically in line with the 22, but continues to turn underneath him, trying to find that air to the front of his car to make it handle through the corner. And now, we've talked a lot about this package. We ran at Indianapolis, we ran here, Jeff. But what we have to understand is we really need to see this compared to other Michigan races, because we hear drivers complain about how bad their cars handle in traffic, but that's not a new complaint at Michigan. Now, is this worse than times before? I'm not a driver. I'd have to poll the drivers that are in today's race, but this has always been a track, because of the high speeds, that's very hard aerodynamically to overtake the car in front of you.
Yeah, no question. You see the 22, he got way up the racetrack. The 4 is driven underneath him. Let's see if he can clear him getting into turn 3. They cleared him off of turn 2. So we saw the 22, he just didn't handle well. He got in the corner, went up the racetrack, and the 4 rolled right underneath him.
Matt Kenseth still in front of the field at Michigan. Martin Truex Jr., Clint Bowyer, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, the top 5. Welcome back to Michigan. Want to take a look at who's topping the Xfinity speed charts. Fastest average laps. It was Austin Dillon, Matt Kenseth, and Joey Logano who have the top three fastest average laps of the race. Lap 26 for Austin Dillon. Almost 190 miles an hour the average. Matt Kenseth, though, in front of the field. We want to go through the field. Brought to you by Carl's Jr. We'll start with Marty.
Well, Rick, certainly Matt Kenseth has been the dominant car today, leading 67 laps thus far. When I asked him earlier this week about JGR's success as a whole, he said, what makes me most proud of that is that we're doing it with all these different aero packages, low downforce, regular downforce, high downforce, and they're certainly doing it today here at Michigan. Here's what Matt had to say on the radio about their strategy for the next stop.
How fast will we bid? Right about 15. Okay. You want me to make distance, or you want me just to run? I want you to run. Get as far as you can there.
And that would be 9 laps from now when Matt Kenseth plans on pitting around lap 100. Let's talk to Jason Ratcliffe about that. He said a moment ago, free me up just a little bit, like half a number a little bit. That's it. Mike?
Marty, at the beginning of the season, nobody was more consistent than Martin Truex Jr. 14 top 10s in the first 15 races. And then something changed. Over the last 7 races, only 1 top 10. His crew chief Cole Pern told me this morning it was a combination of bad luck and taking some risks, knowing they were already in the chase. He said, however, with just 4 races remaining in the regular season, they're getting back to basics and going to the front. That's what they're doing here. Kelly?
It's been 30 laps since the 18 of Kyle Busch came to pit road. Remember, he started from the back, now running in the top 3. He got his first win here at Michigan in the Truck Series, now has wins here in all 3 major touring series for NASCAR. He said, the harder I drive in, I'm on the splitter. It's between the Toyota sticker and the right side is what he's telling his crew chief, Marty.
Kelly, you see Kevin Harvick stalking Kyle Busch back there. He's the highest of the runners who pitted at lap 73. He took on 2 tires at that time. Rodney Childers said, listen, we're 7 laps short on our window. You see him going around Kyle Busch as they go into turn 1, moves Kevin Harvick to the 3rd position now. But I want to get off sequence with those leaders. That's what Jeff and Steve talked about a moment ago. Harvick trying to play the strategy to get out front. Mike?
Over the last 10 laps or so, Clint Boyer has given up 3 positions on the racetrack. Reason being, he's awfully tight. He's being forced to back up the corner. Crew chief just told him, don't worry, we have a plan. We'll fix you up. Just keep digging, be smooth, and especially be smart, Marty.
Joey Logano coming off the momentum from the win at Watkins Glen, Mike, and he said earlier this week, our team is so much better right now. We're closer together as a team. We have better speed than we had last year, and I can't wait for Chicago. You see Denny Hamlin looking to go around him. He does that for the 6th position. Right now, Logano said he's losing the front tires the longer they run here, Dave.
Marty, that's a good sign for the 11 of Denny Hamlin. His crew chief Dave Rogers told me this morning, I'm not sure we passed anybody in the top 15 in practice, but he was very glad with the way they unloaded here. They qualified 2nd, and the preparation, he said, by the team and by TRD with the motors was second to none. We'll see if he can keep going forward, passing cars. Kelly?
The 41 of Kurt Busch. Remember, he won this race back in June. It was a rain-shortened race. His crew chief, Tony Goodson, said it felt good to come back here having that win, but it felt a lot better if they had the same aero kit. Kurt now saying that he's plowing through the center on this run. Earlier just saying, I'm just out of control loose. Kurt has his hands full in the 41. Behind him, Carl Edwards in the 19 car. He celebrated his birthday yesterday, although he kept it pretty quiet. This is a special track for Carl. He made his Cup debut here. Now he's saying the car's acting just like it did in practice, but a little bit worse. He says he's wrecking loose and on the splitter, Marty.
Kelly, remember on that lap 73 stop, Austin Dillon took those 4 tires. They gave up a little track position. He restarted 14th. He has surged his way back up to 10th so far in this run. I asked Austin what's been the difference. He said, honestly, the coaching of Slugger Labby. He challenges me. I like that. I need that in a crew chief. He wants me to do better, and he makes me be better, and that's what he certainly has made him much better over the last few weeks. Right behind him, Brad Keselowski in the 2 car, the throwback to the Rusty Wallace paint scheme. He said he thought he had a vibration from a loose wheel earlier in this run. They determined it was not a loose wheel. The vibration still there for Brad Keselowski, however, and he said, guys are running me down on the straightaway, and they have no run off the corner. We need to get this figured out. Dave?
Talked to Justin Alexander, Paul Menard's crew chief this morning. He says, I think we'll do well here because we always run here. A confident driver who got 2 right side Goodyear tires on his last time down pit road. That was under caution, lap 73. Marty?
Dave, how about Kyle Larson? Started 30th today when everybody shuffled to the back of the field. Did not have a very good qualifying effort. He told me I just missed it in qualifying, but he's made his way up through the field to the 13th position. He said he's tight. Late exit right there coming off turn 2. That's where the car gets too tight for Kyle Larson. Another one of those guys who fit in lap 73. He took fuel only, Kelly.
There's the 31 of Ryan Newman, except he's got the name Buddy Baker above his door. Buddy was a friend and mentor of Ryan's. He helped him establish himself as a super speedway racer, and Ryan told me that it was a great honor to have a guy of his racing caliber help him through his career. He will be a pallbearer in Buddy Baker's funeral on Tuesday. Right now, Ryan's saying the car is way too tight.
Hey, you remember the first caution of the day? David Reagan does, because it was him. He was spinning around in turn 1 of the very first lap of the race. They have recovered. They've been working on a loose race car, which is still loose and bouncy, but Reagan says it's better than what they had earlier. Mike?
You know, Dave, over the course of his illustrious career, Michigan has been a tremendous track for Jeff Gordon. He has 3 wins here, and he's led over 1,000 laps. But this high drag package has given this team fits. Spoke with Alan Gustafson this morning, and he said they struggled in Indianapolis with it. They've changed so many things on the race car over the last several weeks trying to make it better. It just has not taken. Kelly?
And now Kurt Busch comes to pit road. As I said, he's got his hands full. He's been trying to work the track bar inside the cockpit to make the handling conditions better. They're going to give him 4 tires and Sunoco fuel on this stop.
And so some green flag pit stops starting to take place. Matt Kenseth, race leader, will relinquish that lead as he comes onto pit road. Again, pit road speed has to be maintained. Mike?
And Martin Truex Jr. does maintain that pit road speed, comes to a stop. His last stop was lap 57. They've had a very loose race car. They'll make a chassis adjustment now on the left side. You saw the wrench go in there. A 4-tire change from Truex, who's been very quick all day. Martin.
Mike, when I talked to Jason Ratcliffe this morning, the TRD cars, the JGR cars, getting a little less fuel mileage, not much, than the other cars for Matt Kenseth. He doesn't want much of a change. It's a little bit freed up. 4 tires for Matt Kenseth, the leader for much of the day.
Once again, on the top of your screen, you're going to see either a green line or a yellow line under different drivers that are either locked into the chase or in the top 16 in points. The green line is they've got to win, and they're in the top 30 in points. The yellow line, if they're in the top 16 in points only without a win, as we ride along with the 22. Marty?
Rick riding down pit road with Joey Logano. He said again to Todd Gordon, we just lost the front tires towards the end of that running, meaning the car got too tight, just didn't want to turn. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for Joey Logano. You see the wedge adjustment, trying to loosen him up just a little bit for Joey Logano, and a good stop so far for the 22 guys, running in the top 5 the entire day.
Now Kyle Busch in the 18 car makes his way down. He actually sounds pretty happy with his car. He said, I'm just a little bit tight right now. That is it. Early on that run, I heard him give a big woo-hoo out on the radio. Kyle sounds like he's having a little bit of fun. It's going to be 4 tires yet again for the 18 car in Sunoco fuel. You see the adjustment right there as well.
Greg Biffle is on pit road, Rick, and he has not been happy with this race car. He actually asked last time during this run, is there something wrong with my race car? But then it sort of figured itself out. Running in the back of the pack as he has been most of the day. It's dirty air. The car's handling hasn't been good. And he's hoping that 4 Goodyear tires adjustments and Sunoco fuel will help his day just a little. Mike?
The most encouraging thing Jeff Gordon has said about his race car all day is that it's decent. Nothing higher praise than that. They're still trying to make it better. An air pressure adjustment here, a 4-tire change on Gordon's car, still trying to give him the magical feel he's had to the 3 victories had at the Speedway in the past. Just a quick update, guys, on the 78. We saw Martin Truex Jr. come down pit road, and he came down awfully slow. That's because he ran it to the very end of his fuel window. He was out of fuel as he came down pit road.
Potentially a loose wheel for the 78. As we saw him go by Jeff Burton. And looks like he's at speed. Kevin Harvick, the race leader after green flag pit stops have cycled through. Carl Edwards, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, the top 5. NASCAR action next week is live from Tennessee on NBCSN. Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Sprint Cup Series racing from Bristol, presented by No Escape. And Friday, Xfinity Series racing from the last great Coliseum. Out in front of the field, Kevin Harvick. The top 9 have either come onto pit road at lap 73 or 74. So they are looking at about 6 more laps before they will have to come to pit road to cycle through their pit stops.
Yeah, you're going to see here at the top of the screen we have the running order. We've also put down their last pit stop. I know it seems early with 92 to go. Why are we talking about the last pit stop? Well, all of these teams that pitted at 73 or 74, they're looking ahead at making this entire race on only 2 more stops. We saw earlier in the race when Austin Dillon stayed on the racetrack, he held the lead. So track position is going to be key here, Marty.
And Steve, this is very early for Jamie McMurray and his group. Said the car was much better in traffic, but tight everywhere else. He said he had a slight vibration on that run, but not bad. You saw the wedge adjustment, 4 Goodyear tires, and pack it full of Sunoco fuel. To your point, Steve, McMurray here will be quite short, but the other teams are right on the edge. Like Kevin Harvick thinking he's going to pit around lap 114. That would probably put him short. Brad Keselowski can go to lap about 117. That may put him in the game where they can make it on one more stop, getting very dicey down here on pit road, and very interesting as well.
And listen, Marty, this isn't the race package making fuel more important. This isn't Michigan making fuel more important. This is the crew chiefs on pit road taking every angle possible to win a race. And even before halfway, Jeff, these guys are looking at trying to get on a winning race strategy.
The guys that are in the window right now that are looking to get a win that haven't got one. Austin Dillon, he's running 3rd. Kyle Larson is 5th. Paul Menard is 6th. Another driver, Sam Hornish Jr., running 8th on this same strategy.
This is what we talked about all year long. When we get down toward 5, 6, 7, 8 races to go, why not gamble? Why not try to make something happen? Give yourself a chance to win the race. If you get in the chase, anything can happen. We saw it last year with Ryan Newman. He was a few laps away from winning the championship. It's the time of the year. You know the situation you're in. Go ahead and gamble a little bit. Try to make something happen.
And look at Kevin Harvick on our screen here, the current leader. He saved more fuel at Watkins Glen last week than anyone gave him credit for. There wasn't a calculator on pit road that said, oh, he'll lead all the way to turn 6. Yeah. He's wishing he would have saved a little bit more fuel. But a couple laps at Watkins Glen is a ton of fuel.
That's right. And last week, if you go back and think about Kevin Harvick, he was leading the race and having to save fuel. Everybody else that was on his same strategy, they weren't leading the race at the end. They were able to back way up and save a lot of fuel. He had to try to manage the lead with Joey Logano coming from behind. So he came within 400 or 500 yards of winning the race.
Oh, yeah.
And he did a great job of managing the fuel. He had it tougher than everybody else because he was leading the race.
And once again, he's leading at Michigan. He's had quite a few second-place finishes here. He's won here, but it was back in 2010. Guy who almost won in June, again on the same pit strategy as Kevin Harvick, as Kyle Larson. They gambled in June on weather. It didn't work out. Marty.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris Heroy about that this morning. He said, I've been gambling all year long since Kyle Larson missed that race at Martinsville earlier in the year. You have to remember that. Kyle said the car has good grip, but a little bit tight on that run. They make an air pressure adjustment, trying to free him up just a little bit. 4 Goodyear tires and all the Sunoco fuel they could stand. That likely will put them, too, just a little bit short from making it on one more stop, Rick.
And the reason he missed that race in Martinsville, actually fainted before the race, and we just heard the 4 out of gas. Kevin Harvick pushed it just a bit too far, slow on the racetrack. Will he make it all the way back around in time? Marty.
And they told him just to judge his speed on entry as the best he could for Kevin Harvick. You see Brad Keselowski on pit road. It'll be 4 tires for Keselowski. This would be tough for them to stretch it all the way for here. Now Kevin Harvick is limping down pit road, trying to keep it going, and they're trying to decide whether they're going to take 2 or 4 tires here. Judging all that, also they have the fuel issue to deal with. Kevin clearly not up to speed, rolling down pit road very slowly. This will cost them likely their shot at a win today. Rodney Childers coaching the team through it, calling for 4 tires, and this is excruciating for Kevin Harvick. Comes to pit road, the car absolutely silent for Kevin Harvick, and it'll be 4 tires, and they'll try to get it fired back up. And he does that. Kevin Harvick has the car refired, but again, ran out of fuel trying to get to pit road and stretched just next to last window.
The fuel window between 39 and 42 laps. So if you do the math, they would still have to come back to pit road at least one more time.
Yeah, I think the interesting question is we still have Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the racetrack who pitted at the same time as the Ford did who ran out of gas.
Mike, what's going on with the 48?
Come on, back it up.
And Jimmy Johnson just
Back it up.
missed his
Nice
pit
and smooth.
box.
Get him in the box.
They're trying to get him back in the box, and this is not what this team wanted to have happen here. It's been a struggle with the race car throughout the course of the day, and this is an even bigger problem. The team can finally go to work once it's in the stall. A 4-tire change, also a wedge adjustment in Sunoco race fuel, but this is a huge hit for the 48 team who's trying to battle back from earlier problems. Kelly.
And Carl Edwards coming down pit road. He said he started off wrecking loose, but the adjustment they made on the last stop has helped him about 70% of the way. He said he's still a little bit free getting into turn 3. It's going to be 4 new Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for the 19, Mike.
Casey Kane having service done to his car now. Team working on the left side. They'll clean the grill, and he is away. Kelly.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. said it's taken a long time for the car to come in that run. It started out way too loose, but got better. He's moved the track bar inside the cockpit down to, we say it's going to be 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel. They're going to also make an air pressure adjustment for the 88.
Matt Kenseth back in front. Sam Hornish Jr. running second. Sam Hornish Jr. will have to be on pit road here very shortly, and actually he's on now. Kelly.
And Sam Hornish Jr. said he just couldn't get it through the corners. He's been battling a tight condition most of the day. He said it's getting a little bit better now, but he still needs help in the turns. This has not been the season they would have hoped for, but they felt like they got a good grasp of this aero package here at Michigan. They had a solid qualifying effort. Now it's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for the 9-car Sunoco fuel.
And you know, Kelly, why that's important is the 9 is on that lap 73 strategy. He stretched it the most. There's few cars in the field I can think that wants to win more than Sam Hornish Jr.
Oh, yeah. And Jeff, I've got to ask you, this surprises me. The 48 team missed his pit stall. He's the #1 stall. How do you miss it?
Well, I think there were several circumstances right there. You saw him behind the 32. I think his vision was blocked a little bit behind the 32. He got in there deep. He knew he was in trouble. You can see the rear tires hopping, trying to get it slowed down. But I think because of how close he was to the 32 and the fact that he was in the first pit box, he did not have a whole lot of time to react to the situation he was in. All of it led up to him missing the pit box.
And that other thing I saw, the 7 was in the stall just in front of him, and it didn't look like he thought he could stop, and he had to get out of the way of maybe running into the back of the 7.
He knew he was in trouble when the rear tires were locked up. He knew he was in trouble right then.
Matt Kenseth continuing to lead laps at Michigan International Speedway. Fifth caution has come out at Michigan International Speedway for debris. There it is, piece of metal on the racetrack. And so the caution has come out. That will reset the field and reset some of this pit strategy. Pit road is open, and we see Matt Kenseth and Martin Truex Jr. ducking onto pit road. That was 1 and 2. Let's go to Mike.
Clint Boyer was saying he's been a little bit more free over the course of that run. The call from Billy Scott, a 2-tire change on the right side, also Sunoco race fuel. Meanwhile, the 78 a little bit tight. They'll also go with a 2-tire change, just over 6 seconds, Kelly.
Kyle Busch saying, not bad, I've not adjusted the track bar at all, though it gets a little bit free in traffic. It is yet another 4-tire stop for the 18, Marty.
Matt Kenseth already gone, 2 tires. He said all he did on that run was gave up a little right rear grip, but he was fairly happy with it. Kenseth with a strong run continuing today and strong on pit road as well.
Yeah, we take a look at the race off of pit road, brought to you by Geico. Kenseth once again winning that race off of pit road. Martin Truex Jr. holding his position. Hamlin and Logano, 2 good stops, as well as Harvick. I want to take a look at the lead changes presented by Sprint. 11 lead changes, and the reason we're showing you the 19, Carl Edwards will restart up front. He did not come to pit road. You can follow Miss Sprint Cup on Twitter now for a chance to win an autographed hat from today's Victory Lane. And could it be the 19 of Carl Edwards? It's quite possible. Let's listen in to the 19.
Well, at least now you get to feel that clean air we've been so hopeful for. All right. Yeah, just remember to keep being aggressive on the savings here, because I'm sure leading will get a little worse mileage than we had there. 10-4.
We're looking at fuel mileage.
Absolutely.
Everybody has to right now, don't they, Steve?
Well, not everyone. I think Carl Edwards and Austin Dillon, the front two, have to. The last time they were on pit road was at 116 and 114 versus the rest of the field at 122. So they're definitely the only two at the moment playing the fuel mileage game. So, you know, it's really a pretty tight stretch. Let's take a look at the McDonald's. I'm loving it. That's who I'm loving. Carl Edwards at lap 116 has done a great job of playing this fuel strategy game to get the clean air we keep talking about. Austin Dillon as well. We saw earlier, he proved he could lead when he had track position. But Matt Kenseth, he has a little bit better fuel starting right behind him, has led the most laps today at 82. I think one of these three, you've got to be looking at your favorites, but there's still 76 to go, Marty.
Steve, I just talked to Slugger Labby, Austin Dillon's crew chief. He said, we are right on our number to the T. And I don't think that includes a green, white checkered. They plan on pitting around lap 156, and they think they can make it on one more stop. And then you look to the heavens as if to say a prayer, but they're very close. They think they can do it on one stop.
I use that word "they think," Marty, because the four thought he could go a couple more laps earlier when they ran out of gas, and that's what's so difficult about fuel mileage, is it's very hard to figure, and even more difficult, Rick, with this draft, the mileage goes up and down each run.
Carl Edwards chooses the outside line. Austin Dillon on the inside line. At the restart zone, Carl Edwards spins his tires. Austin Dillon's going to have the lead when they cross the stripe. He's got some help behind him. Kenseth was pushing him. Now Kenseth moves to the inside. He'll try to take the lead away from Dillon.
We talked about restarts at the top of the show. You can work all the strategy you want, but you have to be good at the restarts. There's still 3 wide.
That was a really odd restart. It looked like to me that Edwards never got going. He just didn't get going for some reason. Trouble.
And behind him, they're sliding around. The 15 of Clint Boyer can't afford to have a bad finish. Kicks into the inside wall.
Get it rolling when you can. Get it rolling when you can.
Little damage to the back of the 15. He cannot afford to have a bad finish. In the top 16 in points, but barely. Take a look at what happened as they came out of turn number 2. Steve, you mentioned they were staying 3 wide through the turns.
Yeah, right here in the middle of the pack, the 15 car trying to find some room, trying to make it 3 wide. Thinks he's clear up to the right, starts to move up against the wall. Ryan Newman's there, catches him in the right rear quarter panel, turns him into the outside wall, and from there it's just a slide back to the inside.
He tried to let off the brakes, get it turned. He knew he was going to hit that inside wall. He tried to get it off. He's back in the gas right there, but couldn't keep it off the inside wall. And again, as you mentioned, 15 car and Clint Boyer, they do not need a bad race. They were running well. The performance was good, but this wreck is really going to hurt their opportunity to make the chase.
He was running 11th when the accident happened. 63 points ahead of 17th. So he's got a little bit of cushion, but he's way too close to that cut line for a problem.
You see, he missed a little bit underneath the 42. Yeah, I think they hit. I don't think he tried to go to the outside of the 42. I think they made contact, and that moved him up to the outside. You saw him turn the wheel the other way after he got hit in the right rear quarter panel.
Mike.
And guys, you can see all the work being done to the rear of this race car. Lots of sheet metal damage at the very least. Meanwhile, crew members looking underneath to assess suspension damage. They're working on the right side first, but man, there's a lot of damage on this race car that needs to be fixed. They're going to try to do it here on pit road, but it could be quite the repair job to do here. But they're giving it a good effort, trying to rip that rear fascia off, trying to get it back out of the racetrack without losing very much time. But it certainly looks like a big project, Kelly.
And the 31 of Ryan Newman, who also cannot afford to have a bad finish. He is one of those bubble drivers, got caught up in it. There's some damage to the right front, and there was a hole, so they needed to bring him here to pit road to try to seal that hole. And you see them giving him some tires as well while they try to repair this damage and make the most of this day. Ryan just 1 point over Clint, the other one involved in this incident. The two of them 50 points above the cutoff line.
Yeah, I think that's the point, without a doubt, Kelly, is 50 points sounds like a lot, but with this point system and only getting 1 point for 43rd, 2 points for 42nd, you can lose 20, 30, 35 points very quickly when you have a problem on the racetrack. So 50 points can go away very quick.
Just ask Casey Kane. Over the past couple races, he has lost an incredible amount of points. Let's listen into the radio.
You have to look at both fenders. I didn't hit anything hard, but I did hit 15 there. I had nowhere to go.
That was the 31 of Ryan Newman. Dave.
David Reagan gets a new piece on the front of the car, right on the nose area, just to try to get the aero correct on the front of that. And Brian Patty, the crew chief, reminded them, this is our one shot, guys, so make sure it's on there tight so that we can go back to work. He restarted in the 16th position, so he was right there in the middle of it.
I want to watch the in-car from the 15 again. It was really interesting to me. You can see Clint is trying to follow the 42 up the middle. Watch his hands. It looks like there was contact before. He didn't look like he was turning to the right to try to fill the spot. It looked like there was contact, and then he tried to react to it. It happened really quickly.
And the 15 behind the wall and in the garage. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway, getting ready for another restart. But look back at the last restart where the 19 is the lead car.
You see the 3 car get to the beginning of the the restart zone. The 3 car goes and the 19 does not go. We had a conversation with NASCAR, and NASCAR deemed that the 19 was spinning his rear tires, and that's why he didn't get going. So there's no penalty on the 3 car.
In that restart zone, there's the double red line and the single red line. That's the restart zone. And now it's time for another one. This time it's Matt Kenseth on the outside of Austin Dillon as they get to the restart zone. We're back to racing in Michigan. Big move by Carl Edwards to the inside of the 3, trying to take second away. Down to the bottom of the racetrack. Can he hold on? He will move up into the second spot. Joe Gibbs Racing, 1 and 2. Denny Hamlin trying to make it 1, 2, 3. Austin Dillon trying to hang on to that 3rd spot. Going into turn 3. Trying to clear the 11. And Dillon will take 3rd back away from Denny Hamlin. Kenseth, Edwards, Austin Dillon, Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard, the top 5.
Kyle Busch with an aggressive move under his brother Kurt Busch in the 41. Like you mentioned earlier, big wiggle by Kurt Busch in the 41. That puts Kyle 3 wide, really tight with the 78.
78, almost a little contact with the 18 of Kyle Busch. And now Kyle Busch drops back after losing a little momentum.
You see the 78 was so close to him. I'm sure that had Kyle loose and he couldn't go to the throttle as quickly as he wanted to. And now the momentum of all the cars from behind, they're coming, and he's lost 3 spots.
Brad Keselowski goes by in the 2. Jeff Gordon's going to try to get by in the 24. Jeff Gordon making his final Michigan start.
So Tony Stewart making a move underneath Casey Kane. That's the race for the lucky dog position. So these guys are going to be racing hard. The caution comes out. Who's ever in front of those 2 cars, between those 2 cars, they will get back in the lead lap.
19 cars on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap is Eric Almirola. 3 wide as they go into 3. Casey Kane to the bottom and Dale Earnhardt Jr. down the middle.
Jeff, you mentioned it the best. These guys are racing for their race really at this point. With 68 laps to go, they have to work their way back on the lead lap. Casey Kane is trying to beat Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. Those are 3 guys we expect to be racing for the win, and here they are battling for the lucky dog.
And remember, Clint Boyer is now in 41st. He's off the racetrack working on that car. So Casey Kane, every spot he can pick up is a point that he gains on Clint Boyer. So this restart can be huge when the caution comes out. Right now, he would be in the lead lap. He could get a top 10 finish out of the day and gain a tremendous amount of points on Clint.
Take a look at the points. Clint Boyer, as you mentioned, behind the wall in the garage. And Eric Almirola, 29 points back out of that 16th spot.
And Eric is in the lead lap right now. He's firmly in 19th spot, and he is in the lead lap.
Casey Kane, 1 spot out of the lead lap. He is 20th, but a lap down in that position for the free pass. Were a caution to come out. Mike.
Repairs continue in the garage, Rick, on the 15 car, but it goes well beyond the rear end damage. They're concentrating on the right front suspension. There's bent control arms. Just to give you an idea how important it is to get this 15 car back out on the racetrack, moments ago I counted the number of people working on this race car. I counted unofficially 19 people, and it seems like that crowd has gotten even bigger since I counted. So obviously it's pretty important to get this car back out there.
Possibility of a championship. Tony Stewart sliding out of turn number 4. And the caution comes out again.
He was one of those cars that were running extremely hard for that chase spot. He was 21st when he spun, or excuse me, not the chase, the lucky dog. The 20th was the free pass car. He had to get up in front of Casey Kane.
So the 5 of Casey Kane is now going to get the free pass and will be back on the lead lap.
That'll help the points. A lot more in front of him now that he's on the lead lap.
But he's got to take advantage of it. You know, they've got to find a way to get a good finish out of this. Boyer's having trouble. They've got to take advantage of this opportunity.
And there's what's happening with Clint Boyer. The 15 car in the garage as they continue to work not only on the front but the rear of that car. Here's Tony Stewart coming through 3 and 4.
Gets up the racetrack, just gets loose. Car comes around, stays in the throttle to keep him going up against the wall. Then he locks it down. Never hit anything.
And no one hit him. A 1-car incident that brings out this, the 7th caution of the day. 10 is the record number of cautions at Michigan. We still have 64 laps to go.
You know, there's a skill to this. He is once he got out of control, he didn't quit driving. You saw 21 get in the wall trying to avoid him, but Tony didn't quit driving. He stayed in the throttle. Once he had the car in a position where he knew it wasn't going to go back up against the wall, then he just locked it down. And then when the car went low, he turned the wheels to right, let off the brakes. There's a skill to that. You're not just along for the ride. He didn't hit anything because of what he did inside that race car.
Still driving it while you're wrecking.
Never quit. Never give up.
Pit road is open. The 14 is on pit road. We'll need at least 4 fresh tires. Who will come to pit road now? Matt Kenseth was on pit road at lap 122. We've only gone 14 laps since he was on pit road. Carl Edwards, it was 116 for him. That's 20 laps, half a fuel run.
Yeah, I expect everybody in the top 10, top 12 to stay on the racetrack. I don't think it's valuable enough to come get tires. Everybody likes the position they're at on fuel. So we see the first taker, Brad Keselowski. He was in the 10th position.
Brad Keselowski bringing a few of the guys that were behind him with him on pit road, including Kyle Busch, trying to stay in that top 30 in points so he can stay in the chase. Mike.
Casey Kane real happy with his race car. No adjustments is the call from Keith Rodden. They are going to go a 4-tire change, and they may stay just a little bit longer to make sure they get every ounce of fuel in it. Kelly?
Kyle Busch has been happy with his race car. This was just a fuel-only stop to top him off, Marty.
And as Steve mentioned, Brad Keselowski, the top of those cars to come down. He was running 10th. It's going to be 4 tires, pack it full of fuel, Paul Wolf said. Make sure they get all they can in. Steve, this sort of sets them up maybe for that last stop fuel only. Who knows?
So Kenza's still out front. They stayed on the racetrack. The reason for the caution, a wild ride for Tony Stewart. To the 7th caution from Michigan International Speedway. We want to go down to the Toyota Camry on-track car and talk about some of the adjustments that these drivers are able to make.
Yeah, Rick, we've talked all day long about how the cars handle very differently out in front in clean air versus back in traffic. Well, one tool that the drivers have is right here on the steering wheel. This switch right there allows them to move the track bar up and down on their own. They no longer have to come to pit road to make that adjustment. That's something new for this year, and that's what these drivers are using. As they get back in traffic and their car gets free, they have to lower that track bar, secure the car up, and get the car handling at least closer to how it handled when it was in clean air.
Yeah.
We heard some of the spotters talking about it a little while ago. They said that the drivers are moving them more today than you've ever heard them moving. They're moving them from the beginning of the run to the end of the run, and then also based on where they are in traffic. They're just wearing the things out, trying to help the cars while the cars are in different situations.
Matt Kenseth back out in front. He's already led 95 laps of this race. This is what they had to say on the radio just moments ago.
Still 11, the spec approximately the same thing, crazy. Might do it a little bit different, but not a lot. That 19's hell-bent down election to jump at the start here, I'm sure, after that last one. So with the 3, so just tell them to be ready.
So a little strategy among teammates, letting him know, or?
Well, which teammate? Because the 19's to the inside of him, but his other teammates behind him. So there's a lot of Joe Gibbs teammates in the front 2 rows. And as much as the 20, cares about his teammates, he cares about himself. So he wants to clear the 19 into turn 1. He knows how important track position is. Both of them understand the fuel windows. Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth are 2 very veteran race car drivers. They understand how important every one of these restarts are. That's a perfect example of how it's just not luck. There's a strategy involved. He's discussing that strategy with his spotter.
We are on lap 140 of the Pure Michigan 400. One driver who has tried strategy quite a bit in this race has been the 3 of Austin Dillon. Here's what they had to say.
Game of inches, man. This is important. We got to win a race. We got to take every inch we can get. Got to be aggressive, especially on these restarts. You can do it.
There you have it, a game of inches when we talk about a 2-mile racetrack.
That sounded to me like Andy Houston, the spotter, just trying to give his driver a little bit of motivation, and that's good. I mean, he's been running really well, had a good race so far, and they were just pumping him up, making sure he stayed in the game.
Yeah, I can't tell. Andy and Slugger are both so. But what's happened to the 19? He's on the apron. I don't understand why he's down. Now he's going to try to come back up and take his position. Now
you have to maintain a cautious pace or caution speed. The caution lights come back on.
31.
Now they're saying potentially the 19 will have to go behind the 31.
Inside lane.
Yeah, if you slow down, and you don't maintain position, they're going to put you back. The cars can pass you. Once you slow down, that's what you're taught to do, pass. You see a car have a problem, mash the throttle and go by.
Listen, go ahead, Kelly.
And Carl just came over and said, no electric, no electric. One of the batteries has gone dead or something. So that's the issue there with the 19.
And that wouldn't matter if the car was running, but I'm sure Carl Edwards, who's saving fuel, shut his car off, much like what we saw with AJ Allmendinger last week at Watkins Glen. When you shut the car off, you have to have battery juice to crank the car back up. That is the one scary part about saving fuel.
You're right along. He shuts it down, saving fuel.
Yeah, it just took a long time to get fired back up. You can see what he did. What he did was he wasn't using the starter switch. He put the ignition on, and he's got it in gear, and he's just letting the rear tires turn the transmission and ultimately turn the engine, and that fires the engine. But the engine just didn't fire. If you don't maintain a reasonable speed under caution, you lose those spots.
We saw Marcus Ambrose lose a race because of that very situation, trying to save fuel, shutting the car off, couldn't get it fired back up. Now we see Carl Edwards lose 5 positions on the inside line, which means he's losing almost 10 spots.
Everyone knows there's that risk. Why do you shut the car off? Because it saves a ton of fuel. It's easy to say, well, you can't do that. If you can't do that, then you have one arm tied behind your back versus everyone else you're trying to fuel race.
You have to do that.
Absolutely.
You absolutely have to do it.
And as we heard the spotter say to Austin Dillon, it's a game of inches. Get everything you can, be aggressive. Well, he's on the inside line as the fans back on their feet here at Michigan. Green flag back in the air. Little help from the 4 by Austin Dillon. Can he clear the 20 through 1 and 2? Austin Dillon with a great restart, and he'll take the lead at Michigan.
Send a thank you basket to Kevin Harvick for that restart. He gave the 3 just a great push into turn 1.
Here comes the 20 of Matt Kenseth, trying to find a way around. He goes to the high line. Is Kenseth going to be able to take the lead back? Coming out of turn number 4, Kenseth back in front.
2 leader, the 20.
Matt Kenseth. What a run by the 20. Now Austin Dillon will look to the inside once again. Kenseth out front. Dillon running second. Harvick, Hamlin, Truex Jr. the top 5. 58 laps to go at Michigan. They all still have to come to pit road again.
See how much the 3-car gains on the straight. That's the idea of this package. Give the car that's trailing an opportunity to have an advantage somewhere.
Way up the racetrack is Kurt Busch in the 41.
Must have a tire down or a mechanical issue. Just going to try to get to pit road.
All right, last one, come on.
Heard the spotter say last one. That means he was clear.
And here comes the 3 again. Austin Dillon to the bottom of the racetrack with the momentum. But on the top, the 20 of Kenseth hangs on to the lead.
He's not done yet, though. The 3 side draft to 20, trying to get the momentum back.
Using the side draft perfectly. Austin Dillon with the nose in front of the 20, but here comes Kenseth again on the high side. Kenseth once again clears him.
You see Kenseth made a big move to the left to try to break that draft, trying to keep the 3-car from being able to pull up on him. But here the 3 cars right to his rear bumper again, getting into 1.
That's what I keep seeing, Jeff, is the 20 has momentum. And in the past, we would see the 20 pull away from the 3 down the straightaways with the momentum. But when the 3 pulls up into that draft, he instantly gains the momentum back and stays close.
At that time, you saw some flames shoot out the right side of the 3, the exhaust pipe. He had to get out of the gas, getting into turn number 1, lost a lot of momentum on the 20. That's why there's a big gap now between the 2.
But to Steve's point, what he just said a minute ago, if you can break even in the corner, if Austin Dillon can run the same speed through the corner as Matt Kenseth, he will have an advantage on the straight. That's what it's hard to do because you're losing that air when you are in second, but that's the whole key. Try to maintain position and then use the straights as an advantage.
27 of Paul Menard has been dropping back. Menard was running 6th.
This is the shot I want to see, Rick, though. Now the 3 is 4, 5, 6 car lengths back. Can he use that draft as we see the 78 of Martin Truex? We talked about how fast of a car he has here today. Inside the 11 of Denny Hamlin, completing the pass, trying to get that track position back.
And the 19, after having a miscue under caution, restarted 11th. He's back up to 4th.
You see the
Did that 3 laps.
in on the 78 on the straight.
Race leader Matt Kenseth has a 7/10 of a second lead over Austin Dillon. Kevin Harvick running 3rd. Carl Edwards up to 4th. Truex Jr. 5th. Take a look back at Kyle Larson.
We talked about restarts being important. Watch Kyle Larson on the outside. Look how loose he gets right here. The only thing that saved him from spinning out was the wall. He ended up getting the right rear. I think he got the right rear in the wall right here. That pulled him back around. Look at this. Saved it. Never hit with the right front. Lost a lot of spots, but it could have been a lot worse.
You call that loose, I call that crashed.
That
is
sideways.
a heck of a save.
Paul Menard still trying to get by the 11. Denny Hamlin. And as the laps continue to wind down, it seems as though these drivers are figuring out this high drag package. We saw it with Austin Dillon, able to get up next to Kenseth, able to make the pass on Kenseth, then Kenseth able to return the favor and get back out in front. Some of these drivers waiting for 2 to get side by side in front of him, then slingshotting past both of the drivers.
That was a perfect example. We could talk about the package in the air, but these drivers know what they're doing as well. Denny Hamlin hasn't run the white line in 3 and 4 in the last 3 laps. But as the 27 looked low into turn 3, what's the 11 do, Jeff? He rolls all the way down to that white line, shuts the air off to the 27. That's part of defensive driving. That's what he's doing to try to pull away from Paul Menard.
Paul Menard running 7th. You get to see all the action, though, as we go NASCAR nonstop here on NBCSN. Welcome back to the Irish Hills in Michigan International Speedway as Matt Kenseth remains out front. The most laps led, presented by Sprints, will go to Matt Kenseth. He will lead the most laps here at Michigan. You join All-In Wireless from Sprint, get unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data, and pick your smartphone for just $80 a month. Matt Kenseth continues to add to his laps led. And let's go through the field. We'll start with Marty Snyder.
Rick, Matt Kenseth has locked it up to lead the most laps today. He's led 110 laps. He actually apologized to the guys on the radio, sort of jokingly, for the excitement on the restart. And then he said once he got out front, quote, "I'm out of here." And he certainly has checked out so far, trying for his third Michigan win. You know, Austin Dillon really gave it a good run on that restart. Now, talking to Slugger Labby about this yesterday, he said that has been one of the main focuses between he and Austin Dillon, getting him better on restarts. On Sundays, he hands him a drive, and he has to watch that video all week long and learn what he did on restarts and how he can do it better. Big point of emphasis, he's been able to keep it up front. How about the recovery in third for Kevin Harvick? Ran out of fuel earlier, lost a ton of track time. In fact, was 31 seconds behind. They have now rallied to third. Harvick said the build-up takes a while to go off for the tires, but now the cars come in very nicely. Very happy with the way the 4 car is handling. Mike?
No one in the 78 camp would like to win here more than crew chief Cole Pern. This is somewhat of a home game. Although he's not from the United States, he's from nearby London, Ontario. This is his home track. He remembers coming here as a child watching races and was hoping to fulfill a dream by winning today. They're running inside the top 5. He still is within striking distance, but Martin Truex Jr. has been saying this is the loosest his car's been all day, Kelly.
Carl Edwards restarted 11th. Remember, he couldn't get his car to refire under that last caution. They think that he had drained the battery dead. Well, now Carl came on the radio and said, "I feel like I picked up a bunch of drag or something," telling crew chief Darian Grubb that he feels like he's lost about 25 horsepower going down the straightaway. Don't know what's causing it yet, Dave.
Kelly, that battle between Denny Hamlin and Paul Menard has subsided right now, and it sort of plays out to what Dave Rogers told me this morning. Our car will have decent speed, and it will be comfortable to drive. That's one of the reasons why Hamlin was able to get the advantage for now. As for Paul Menard, I asked Justin Alexander, his crew chief, this morning, why he thought Paul was good here. And he says, "I think our cars themselves are good with these racetracks. We stay on the throttle a long time. You don't use a lot of braking on these." And I know Tom Sneva may have been the gas man, but I guess you could call Paul Menard the gas man in that case, Marty.
Dave, Joey Logano's been solidly in the top 10 all day long, and he's been really working that track bar inside the car. He said he's 3/4 tight in the center, 3/4 loose off the corner. So he's both tight and loose in that 22 car, trying for yet another top 5. This team continues their strong roll. Kelly?
Kyle Busch came into this race 30th in points and just barely chase eligible. Now he's running inside the top 10. He does have a win here at Michigan, but it has not been good in recent years. His last 4 starts here, he hasn't had a finish better than 31st. He said he just wanted to come here, top 15, top 20, whatever he could get, he would take the points. Well, he's running inside the top 10 now, Marty.
Kelly, just like Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, one of those guys who pitted on lap 137. They're hoping how that pays off when they took off 4 tires on that stop is that on their final stop, they can go a little bit shorter. 2 tires, maybe fuel only, who knows? Brad radioed to Paul Wolf a moment ago. "I really feel like our car is better on the longer runs." They would love to see this thing go green if they can. Kelly?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2 wins this season have both come on restrictor plate races. His crew chief Greg Guy said, "We don't need a win before the chase, but it would be really good for confidence." Right now, Dale Jr. looking for grip. He's running high on the track. He says it's too loose up there. There's too much of a wake up there. But he doesn't want them to tighten him up on their next stop either, Mike.
Kelly, Jeff Gordon is 14th on the chase grid, 58 points to the good. Earlier this week, he was asked about that particular cushion in points, and he laughed and said, "What cushion?" He doesn't feel comfortable at all. He feels like he would love to have a win. He said, "We don't necessarily need a win, but we want one to make us feel a little bit easier." He said, though, if we can't get a win, a top 10 will help us along the way. They're 12th right now as they approach that goal, Kelly.
Mike Ryan Newman expressed similar sentiments to me, said he did not feel comfortable coming into this race. 15th in points, just 51 points ahead of the chase cutoff line, but his crew chief Luke Lambert said he is comfortable with the team, that the direction I should say the team is headed. They had a mid-season slump, but he feels like they're getting better week by week, running in the top 15 now, Marty.
Kelly, we We started the day talking to Jamie McMurray, the highest runner of the guys who have not won this year in the chase grid. I asked him, are you a little bit worried about these restarts today because they're predicted to be so crazy? They've turned out to be crazy, but McMurray said, no, we have to be aggressive. We have to stay aggressive in these final 4 regular season races to lock ourselves into the chase. If he can do that, it'll be the first time Jamie McMurray has ever done that in his career. Really loose right now for McMurray on the track, Mike.
Marty, since getting back on the lead lap, there's been renewed energy in the 5 camp. They feel like they can make a charge and make some gains here. The next stop, there's a plan for a 2-tire change and 1 can of fuel. They're going to play the track position game. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to stay as close to the front, cash in on as many points as possible today.
15 was in the garage. They made it back out on the track, turned a couple laps, but obviously they want to check to make sure everything is holding up, Mike.
That's exactly the case, Rick. You know, you pretty much have one shot at this once you pull outside the garage and get back on the racetrack. They want to make sure that everything is right. As we documented, they worked on the right front suspension in the garage. And you can see there's plenty of attention being paid to that area of the race car right now, in particular the fenders. Pit road starting to get busy here. Martin Truex Jr. on pit road as well. This could be probably his last stop of the day. We'll see. 38 laps to go. 4 tires and fuel for Truex. Kelly?
Earl Edwards said he had felt like he lost about 25 horsepower on the straightaways. He's also saying that the 19 is just a little bit tight. It is 4 tires and fuel for the 19, Marty.
Kelly, Kevin Harvick pitched from 30, said his car just a little bit looser towards the end of that run, but very happy with how it handled. We'll see with the cycles them out. Hitting a little bit earlier, not going to take any chances on running out of fuel again.
Austin Dillon giving up second to come to pit road. He was last on pit road on lap 122, so 41 laps ago. Marty.
Austin Dillon and Joey Logano coming down pit road here at the same time. Austin said on the radio, just needs to turn in the front just a little bit more. You're going to see a wedge adjustment here, trying to loosen him up just a little bit, not much. He's fairly happy with how the car is handling, and 4 tires for Austin Dillon. Joey Logano right behind him on pit road. He's pitting for 4 tires as well, and fuel, he said it was a little too tight in the middle, a little too loose off the corners. They made a wedge adjustment earlier, also an air pressure adjustment, and cleaning the grill for Logano. Nice stop for the 22 bunch.
Denny Hamlin is 5 laps further into his window than they thought they might need to go, so this is a good sign. They should have plenty of fuel. Pretty far into the pit box right there is Hamlin, but he'll get just a slight air pressure adjustment and Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Matt Kenseth really happy with the car out front. There'll be no changes on this stop for Kenseth. 4 tires for him as well, and a fairly quick stop for Matt Kenseth and his group as well. Again, leading for much of this race today, the dominant car. They've also had a really good day here on pit road, Kelly.
The 9 car of Sam Hornish Jr., he has been battling a tight car for most of this day. They've been working to try to loosen him up throughout the day. You see that this is a 4-tire stop for the 9 car, Sunoco fuel.
Sam Hornish Jr., one of those drivers that wants to be a spoiler, potentially steal a win here at Michigan, as you see the 48 come in front of your pit stall, Mike.
It's been an adventure for Jimmy Johnson today. He had a cut-down tire at one point. He overshot his pit stall at another point. This time, though, it looks like a pretty good stop. Looking at a 4-tire change on the 48 team. No adjustments, and he's off the jet.
Any strategy playing out that you guys are seeing as we stay green?
It's been pretty straightforward at this point. All of these guys that have pitted have felt that they're in their final fuel window. Everyone has taken 4 tires. The question will be with Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski running longer if they're going to take less than 4 tires. Mike?
Kasey Kahne on pit road now. They're going to make a chassis adjustment. You can see the wedge wrench was put in. Right side service complete. They swing around to the left side. A 4-tire change, also an air pressure adjustment for Kasey Kahne.
Kyle Larson coming down pit road, and they said his car was extremely loose on this run. They're going to go right side tires, 2 tires only for Kyle Larson. Again, this is their group of cars that pitted lap 137. They took 4 earlier. This is a long stop for 2 tires. They took 4 earlier because they thought they could take a shorter stop this time around. That's why they took 2 here.
Yeah, Marty, it seems like a long stop for 2 tires, but you have to remember it's really all dictated off fuel. So while it didn't look like the cleanest 2-tire stop, they have to put enough fuel in, and at 10.5 seconds, it was still 2.5, 3.5 seconds faster than perhaps the 4-tire stop would have been.
With 33 laps to go, they have to have that much fuel on board in case we do go green the whole way.
And the big loser in that pit sequence was Austin Dillon in the 3 car. He came in running second, and now he went all the way back to 4th. They had a little bit of a slow pit stop, and now you see Denny Hamlin getting around him. So when the opportunity was there for them to have a good pit stop and maybe gain on the 20, they actually had a little bit of a slow one and lost on the 20.
Mike.
Jeff Gordon's last stop was lap 122. Alan Gustafson calling for 4 scuffed tires on this stop. As much fuel as they could possibly get in for this final run. He's away.
12.8 seconds for the 24 team. We mentioned the 3 of Austin Dillon and not the stop that they were hoping for.
He comes in, the right side goes up, everything looks good, but you can see right here the right front is slow. Took a while to get the right front out. The right rear is already changing the tires, and the left front's just now coming around, so trouble in the right front.
And Austin Dillon has dropped all the way back to 12th now after that stop. Still to come to pit road, though, will be Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, Eric Almirola, Jamie McMurray, David Reagan, Matt Kenseth. He is the first one that has come with the idea of being able to make it on fuel. So Matt Kenseth running in the 8th position. So a lot of strategy playing out, as well as the guys up front. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, but the 88 on pit road now, Kelly.
Comes the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. He said it was a little bit loose, but he didn't want Greg Ives to tighten him up, or he said, I won't be able to drive the car at all. The call has been for right side tires only and fuel for the 88.
And you see the advantage, 9.4 seconds on the pit stop for Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's a little bit quicker than some of the other guys, Dave.
Craig Biffle is in, still a lap off the pace today. Tough day for the 16 bunch. Really haven't done what they want to accomplish here at a track where they've won 4 times in the past. Big chassis adjustment to try to get Biffle to the end. Marty?
And guys, a lot of debate on the 2-car radio. Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolfe. Brad kind of wanted 4 tires, but didn't think 2 would gain them that much track position. What's more important today, tires or that all-important track position? It's going to be a 2-tire stop, and that's it for Brad Keselowski. Kelly?
Ryan Newman saying that he's still just a little bit too tight. They're going to add a little tape to the grill. It was 2 tires and fuel and an air pressure adjustment for the 31.
Brad Keselowski's pit stop, 7.1 seconds. That could be the difference if we stay green. Kyle Busch still out front. He came to pit road at lap 137 the last time, as did Eric Almirola, Jamie McMurray, David Reagan. The 1, McMurray on pit road. Marty.
Jamie McMurray come down pit road. He said it feels like the motor just bogs down when he's in the high line, so he had to run low for much of that run. Said he needs to be freed up just a little bit. Matt McCall said, go on me. Going to be 2 tires and all the fuel they can stand to get him to the finish of this race. Holding for McCall, he sends him out back on the track.
Kyle Busch, he also is on pit road now, following after McMurray, who's leaving pit road. Kyle Busch now coming in for his service, Kelly.
And he's saying, hey, get the balance of the fuel just right, and we should be good to go. The calls for 4 tires for the 18. They've been giving him 4-tire stops all day long, and it's paid off as he's worked his way from the back of the field. Well, it's at the top 10.
It has to be a different mentality for the 18 team. Instead of just doing a 2-tire stop, trying to save as much time, get back out there, do they have to be more cautious because they're right on that line of finishing 30th in points? They've got to be inside the top 30 in points if they want to make the chase.
Well, I think at this point they have to be deliberate. It doesn't appear that they've had the fastest car here today. You know, Matt Kenseth is still out in the lead, although Kevin Harvick in the 4 has chopped into his lead a little bit. The 18 needs to be a little conservative because he needs those points, where the 43 on screen of Eric Almirola, he's the example of a guy who needs to win a race. He's currently leading this race. He definitely needs to come to pit road for fuel, but looking for a caution, maybe something that would open up his opportunities, Dave.
David Reagan is on pit road. He calls crew chief Brian Patty. I don't know what to tell you to make it better. It's really, really good right now. So they're just going to take 2 right tires and get him fuel to the end.
And still 16 cars on the lead lap as Eric Almirola stays out on track. As you mentioned, he'll have to come to pit road soon.
Yeah, and behind him, about 13 seconds behind him, is Matt Kenseth, who's already pitted, had his service. Really, the race at this point is between the 20 of Matt Kenseth and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. They're running second and third on the racetrack, but with Eric Almirola needing fuel, the assumption will be that that's the race.
And those two are separated by 3 seconds right now. There's Matt Kenseth. You also see the 15. Clint Boyer back out on the racetrack. They've got to make sure they maintain 43.19 seconds. That's the minimum speed to be on the track. As we see Eric Almirola, he comes to pit road now, Dave.
And Eric told his crew chief, Trent Owens, we've worked so hard to get where we are. Let's not be too aggressive on fuel. So they bring him in just a little bit early. Trent told me this morning they changed everything on this race car from practice, and they went from a 30th starting position to run in the top 10 most of the afternoon. It may not be the win that Eric Almirola needs, but it was a big improvement over where they started the weekend at Michigan.
So the green flag pit stops have cycled through. Matt Kenseth back out front. Kevin Harvick 3.7 seconds back in second. Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Austin Dillon, the top 5 at Michigan. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by The Transporter Refuel in theaters and IMAX September 4th. And by Sprint. Check out the new All-In plan at sprint.com/all-in. 20 laps remaining at Michigan. We've completed 180. 127 of those have been led by Matt Kenseth. How does this affect the chase grid with how people have run today? Especially Clint Boyer after getting into the inside wall after coming off of turn 2. He has lost 26 points to Eric Almirola. You look a lot closer now at the cut line.
And I think more importantly than losing to Almirola, look how much he's lost to Ryan Newman. And so the reason that's important is if we get a new winner, then Clint Boyer would be knocked out. So he now is almost 30 points behind Ryan Newman. To me, that's the bigger issue, is that you got to protect not only from behind, but you also got to protect the guys coming back to you, because of a new winner coming in. So this could be a costly race for Clint Boyer. He is praying there are no new winners. It's in his best, unless he's one of them.
Right.
But it's in his best interest for there not to be a new winner, and then he can continue to race for points. If so, he'll be okay. But if not, then he could be in big trouble.
And a reminder at the top of your screen when we talk about the chase, underneath the drivers' names, if you see a green line, that means that they have won. And around goes the 48. Jimmy Johnson around again.
Looks like he has damage on the right front.
And the caution comes out for the 8th time. Damage to the right front of the 48. He was running 22nd and into the first stall, which is their stall. David Reagan in the 55 will receive the free pass as they will go to work on the 48.
Yeah, that splitter bar is pushed back. That's what he was hitting with that large hammer. That bar is really tough, though. It takes a lot of force to bend one back towards the right front tire. Really, you see how much more difficult it was to get the right front tire out. Really, really hard to try to get bent back forward.
And that splitter bent over beneath the car as well. Take another look at what happened.
Just lost it all by himself, like we saw Tony Stewart do, very similar. They got in the grass, and the grass is what damaged the nose. So he lost it all by himself, and the penalty for being in the grass, it just destroyed the front end, much like we saw with Kyle Busch in practice. But you know, this team isn't in sync. They're not running well. They don't have the speed. They're making mistakes. You know, they've found a way every year to be better when the chase started, but they're not in sync right now.
And as we look forward, just 4 races, including this one, to go, they've got to start getting into sync because we've got some drivers making their way onto pit road, led by the 22 of Joey Logano. Kelly.
As we see Dale Earnhardt Jr. making his way down pit road, he had been pretty happy with his car. This is going to be a 4-tire stop for the 88 to give him fresh rubber for these last 16 laps of this race, Marty.
Kelly, with 18 cars on the lead lap, Joey Logano and his team decided why not come down and take tires. Going to be 2 tires for Logano. He said he just gets so tight, he loses all of his speed towards the end of a run. They also made a wedge adjustment on that 22 car.
The 48 and 41 will be penalized for pitting too soon. The 48 obviously needing to do the repairs, but the 41 penalized for pitting too soon. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Giving us some great shots on a partly cloudy day here in Brooklyn, Michigan. F1 returns to NBCSN next Sunday from Belgium. It's the circuit's longest track, and it will certainly be a challenge. Catch the Formula One Belgian Grand Prix. That's next Sunday on NBCSN at 7:30 a.m. Take a look at our race recap with just 15 laps to go. Because they had to go to a backup car, the 18 of Kyle Busch goes to the back to start the race and decides to stay there, and probably a good move as David Reagan on lap 1 turned around, but he moved up quickly.
Once he decided he thought it was safe and understood what the car was going to do, he took off going.
78 and the 4 both running out of gas, trying to extend their fuel window.
Yeah, and then Clint Boyer, it's definitely not been the day. Clint Boyer's look for you see here. Little contact between him and the 31. He gets in the outside wall, spins down, also collects the inside wall. Currently 41st, a little over 30 laps behind.
They were in the garage and had a lot of work to do. How about the restart? Carl Edwards on the outside, Dillon on the inside.
A little controversy. It looks like the 3 takes off before the 19. NASCAR deemed that the 19 spun the rear tires. There was no penalty.
And then the 19 trying to save fuel. Couldn't get the car fired back up again. So he drops back. The 48 most recently getting loose on his own through 3 and 4 and into the grass, and all that damage to the right front. Marty?
Rick, it's been an eventful day for Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick. Considering you ran out of fuel and looked like you might be out of it, I'm sure you feel pretty good with where you are. How good do you feel about this restart, though, and can he pass the 20?
Well, we've had a good Jimmy John Chevrolet all weekend long. It's just been really hard to pass, and all the guys have done a good job. To be able to come back from that mistake and to be here sitting on the front row with a shot at it is all we can ask for. So we'll see what we got. You know, if anybody can do it, he can.
And Rick, we all know, the drivers all know, it's going to come down to this restart. It's going to be exciting.
Absolutely, and some drivers are talking to their crew chiefs and spotters. The 11 had this to say.
Will you get with the 20 and please tell him to give me a signal out the window? If he doesn't want to, just say, you know, it's best for him not to, but I don't know what to expect, and I'm trying to push him here. I have a better chance of pushing him when I know, when I can anticipate when he's going to go.
Yeah, Denny's wanting to push Matt to try to help them get the lead, and he's needing that signal to know when to start going. If he doesn't go soon enough, then Matt will drive away from him. He'll never have an opportunity to push him.
Matt Kenseth on the outside. Kevin Harvick on the inside. Green flag back in the air.
Oh, the 78 did a much better job of getting to the 4. Let's see if they can take advantage of it. I think he may clear him. The 78 did a great job.
They do a little side drafting as they enter turn 1. The momentum has worked for most on the outside. Will it work again for Kenseth? It does. Kenseth clears the 4 of Harvick. Denny Hamlin slots back in 3rd. Into turn number 3, jockeying for position. Brad Keselowski way up the racetrack, very loose through 3 and 4. Lost a lot of momentum and falling back a few positions as Jeff Gordon is able to get by him. As does the 31. Ryan Newman all the way down to the apron. Goes Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. Kenseth, Harvick, Hamlin, Truex Jr. and Austin Dillon the top 5. "12 laps of racing to go at Michigan. A big move by the 88. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get by that 2. Joey Logano makes the same move at the same time and stalls the 88. He's not able to keep going.
And Martin Truex Jr.'s got by the 11 and Denny Hamlin for 3rd.
Now Jr. again all the way to the bottom of the racetrack to try to get by the 2. Here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch.
18 had a big run on Junior. Was being pushed by McMurray, trying to make the move on the inside, just couldn't get there.
So Kenseth has a 7/10 of a second lead over Kevin Harvick. The high drag package at Michigan. Will it give Harvick an opportunity to catch back up? Austin Dillon trying to get by. The 11 of Denny Hamlin to take that 4th spot away. Hamlin trying to hold on to it.
Austin was about 4 inches away from having him cleared where he could have pulled up in front of him. Didn't quite clear him. Trying to get it done, getting into the 1.
Yeah, at the front of the pack, guys, that's the first lap that Kevin Harvick in 2nd has run faster than the leader, Matt Kenseth.
Trying to reel him back in. Under 10 laps to go. So Austin Dillon was able to make the pass. It looks as though they're using side drafting to try to slow the car down in front of them to make the pass or to complete the pass.
Yeah, there's just so much drag on the cars, and as we talked about before, 2 cars side by side make a lot more drag. So if a car's underneath you, the thing you want to do is just get as close to him as you can to slow his momentum down.
There you look at the speeds at the line. Kenseth with the fastest lap. Harvick, Truex Jr. second and third with the second and third fastest laps. Big move for the 22. Joey Logano trying to get by Paul Menard. Separating themselves by a great distance to see if they can keep that momentum up. And Logano will complete the pass. Kenseth keeping the same distance between himself and Harvick. 0.7 of a second separating the two that time by. Harvick was faster.
You see Paul Menard trying to catch Joey Logano. Paul Menard is one of those bubble drivers we've been talking about, trying to make the chase, and right behind him is Ryan Newman. So 8th and 9th right now, that would be good runs for both of those cars trying to work their way into the chase.
Eric Almirola running 15th on the lead lap. Clint Boyer, his closest competitor in the chase, 41st.
And I'm always amazed at the 31, how good of a job they do of being at the end of the race in the best track position they've had all day. And a little bit of a pit sequence, they got up further than that, but this is the highest they've run all day long. It's 7 laps to go. They might get a top 10 out of this, and their strategy, everything they do is about gaining points. They take real advantage of it. In my eyes, they do better than everybody on the racetrack about getting good finishes when you compare where they run during the race.
56 points in front of 17th is Ryan Newman. 24 points in front of Almirola is Clint Boyer. Again, Boyer, 41st. He's 34 laps down. Won't be able to make up any of those laps on anyone in front of him, so he will finish 41st today.
And Newman's average running position today in this race is 14th, and he just passed for 7th. I mean, just passed for 8th, I'm sorry. That's an example of how it isn't always the fastest car. It's pit strategy. It's Ryan Newman doing a great job on restarts, not giving up spots on restarts. So there's a lot of different ways to get good finishes. That's the way this team does it.
Newman's able to get by Earnhardt Jr., Paul Menard. Newman in that 8th position. Kenseth, a little bit more distance now between himself and Kevin Harvick, as we have under 6 laps of racing to go. Matt Kenseth has been dominant. He's already led 141 laps today.
Menard's racing all these guys. Menard last pitted on lap 164. Earnhardt Jr. on 184. Busch on 173. Keselowski 171, so they have a little fresher tires. Newman pitted on 184 also. So in this group, without a doubt, Paul Menard has the oldest tires.
How about the job that the 3 of Austin Dillon has done? After having an engine expire on him in practice, they have to change an engine, they have to go to the back to start the race, and running in the top 5 here at Michigan. He's running 4th.
And I think more importantly, it's the work they've been doing over the last month, 6 weeks. You know, they're just not going to run well today. They've been running much better over the last month. So that's what you want to see with a team. I said it earlier, I think this is the most improved team on the racetrack. They're starting to get top 10s. They're starting to consistently run in the top 10. That's what you want to see. That's real improvement. You can get a good race every now and then, but when you can start stringing them together, stringing good runs together, that's when you know you're starting to have real lasting improvements.
Only 1 career top 5 for Austin Dillon, trying to make that 2 today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. passed by the 2 of Brad Keselowski. Kevin Harvick running 2nd here at Michigan. 5 times before he has finished 2nd.
Yeah, and Matt Kenseth continues to extend his lead. It's up to 1.3 seconds now. Really just managing it with 3 to go.
1.3 seconds separating Harvick from Truex Jr. Another great run for Martin Truex Jr. That was what this team needed to get back into the positive, moving in the right direction. A top 5 finish for Martin Truex Jr. today would be a big win for that team, getting the momentum going as we have just 3 races to go before the chase after this one. Brad Keselowski up to 9th. Paul Menard 10th in the top 10. It's Martin Truex Jr. under 2 laps to go at Michigan. It's been a dominant performance today by Matt Kenseth.
Listen, Matt Kenseth and his team, think about the last several weeks. They won Pocono. Then they went to Watkins Glen, a place where Matt Kenseth historically has not been that good. They got a really good finish out of Watkins Glen. They sat on the pole here. Now they're in really good shape to win this race. This team is hot. It's not just Kyle Busch at Joe Gibbs Racing. It's also Matt Kenseth in the 20 car.
And he's not the type of driver you want to wake up before the playoffs, Rick.
Last lap. The white lap has come out for Matt Kenseth. The last time we were talking about Matt Kenseth up front, it was based on fuel mileage. Today it's been based on domination.
Yeah, buddy, bring it home.
Matt Kenseth down the backstretch after leading 145 laps, trying to lead his 146th lap. And the most important, as he works his way out of 3 and 4. Twice a winner at Michigan before, he makes it a third. Matt Kenseth will win in Michigan.
Yeah, right there. Yes, sir. Way to work, man. Way to work. On those restarts. Good job on pit road, guys, all weekend.
And the domination for Joe Gibbs Racing continues.
And it was all Matt Kenseth today. 146 laps led, started on the pole. Not just a win, but just a very impressive, the word's the best, dominant performance out of the 20 team.
And I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek, but Penske kind of dropped the ball today because the last 5 races, it has been 1-2 Joe Gibbs Racing, Penske, and Logano finishes 7th today.
Yeah, you're going to hear people say you couldn't pass today because of this package. We're going to hear that. Matt Kenseth had an advantage because he was started in the front. But let me tell you something. He took advantage of he sat on the pole. He took advantage of it. He had the best car all day long. So, yes, was it hard to pass this rule package? Of course it was. But somebody was going to do a better job than the rest of the field, and it was Matt Kenseth and his team.
I do have to say, though, we saw some great racing between Matt Kenseth and Austin Dillon for the lead. I mean, there were a couple passes between the two that we saw Austin Dillon be able to make the pass and get in front. Then the stronger car prevailed, with Matt Kenseth being able to get out front and stay out front. But again, Joe Gibbs Racing continuing to dominate in the Sprint Cup Series. Kelly.
I've got the coach, Joe Gibbs, and it seems like Matt Kenseth and this 20 team has picked up where Kyle Busch left off. Now 2 wins in the last 3 races for this team. What does it say about your organization that you continue to win no matter what NASCAR throws at you, no matter what type of track?
Well, just thanks to everybody back at the shop, everybody in every department back there working hard. It took us a long time. We were down for about 1.5 years. We've come back to a point where I think now we've got a chance in races. I really appreciate this for Dollar General, Todd Vassos, Rick Dreiling, Laura, everybody over there. Thank y'all for letting us do this, and hey, it's just a great day. Laura's blessed us with a great group of guys, and we got a great team feeling, and just really proud of everybody. JD, everybody back home, thank you, man. We appreciate it. JD's there cheering for us.
Coach, as you alluded to when the season started, you guys weren't quite meeting people's expectations, probably your own expectations. Did you ever think that when you turned it around, you'd have this kind of dominance?
I don't think you could ever guess in pro sports. You know, things can turn, and next week it twist and can go the other way. I think that's the reason why all the fans and all of us love it. You don't know what's going to happen. Right now, we're going to enjoy this, though, and we're going to go down and try and have a good time here in Winner's Circle.
All right, I'll let you get back to that familiar place, Victory Lane.
And one of the more traditional looks to a Winner's Circle here at Michigan International Speedway, just right in front of the grandstand, so the fans will be able to enjoy with Matt Kenseth. We'll see him in Victory Circle when we come back. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. A dominating performance put on today by Matt Kenseth. He led 146 laps. It's his 34th career win in the Sprint Cup Series. And right now he's having a little bit of a hard time getting into victory lane. Let's go to Dave Burns.
And Denny Hamlin did not get into victory lane either today. Denny, what was the main issue? A good top 5 run, but there was something that was holding you back.
A little bit of speed held us back. We didn't have quite the speed that the 20 had really all weekend, but still proud of this FedEx Freight Camry team. Top 5 is pretty good with this aero package. Twice in a row we got top 5, but hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel because this is a tough one to pass on. But overall, it was good. It was a fun race. We'll just see what happens.
Describe what the organization did here this weekend, because you all came prepared and put on a good show with your cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is because of Joe Gibbs Racing. That's the reason that our cars ran up front this weekend. All the hard work that the Fab Shop and the engine at TRD does, they gave us the tools to come out here and try to compete for a win. So very proud of the effort that we put forth, and now we'll move on.
That place for Denny Hamlin. Rick?
So Joe Gibbs Racing, 1st, 5th, 6th, and 11th. Kyle Busch finishing 11th and putting a little more distance between himself and 31st. Marty Snyder.
Well, all you can say today is wow. JGR has now won 5 races in the last 6 races. Matt Kenseth dominant at Michigan today, and I think he said it best. Domination by the 20 guys. A little Gatorade shower for your boys as well. When was the last time you had a car that dominant, Matt?
I don't know if I ever had and not messed it up. So these guys gave me a great car. It's easy to take things for granted. I really got to thank the Lord for putting me here. It's just an unbelievable opportunity and unbelievable people I get to work with every single day at Joe Gibbs Racing, as well as all the guys standing here, obviously. So thanks to Dollar General and DeWalt, Sprint, Toyota TRD. They gave us a ton of power today. Gatorade, Citizen Watch, Wiley XS, and Reesers. And I got great partners, can't do it without them. One more thing, DollarGeneral.com, 20% off all day tomorrow.
Right, a discount for everybody. The restarts were crazy today, but walk me through that final restart. We were able to get the lead again.
Yeah, Denny did a spectacular job pushing me. The first from the restart zone to about turn 2-ish was like a super speedway race, and it was whoever got locked up, and those Chevys could really hook up. Denny did a spectacular job giving me a good enough push there to get by, and honestly, the toughest one was with the 3, man. We went back and forth a few times and made some contact up there, and it was hard to get away from him. My car took about 5 laps to get going. Once it got going, it was pretty stout.
As an organization, talk about what JGR is doing right now. 5 wins in the last 6 races. Any doubt in your mind that a JGR car are the favorites for the championship?
It's early to talk favorites. There's so much racing to do. You get there, you got 16 teams that are capable of winning races on a weekly basis as well as championships. So it's one week at a time, like always. This has been a great week. We've had a great couple months. We've definitely have some momentum built. The guys gave us a rocket today. They've been giving us rockets the last couple months. So we're just gonna work hard to try to keep it rolling.
And he told his guys after the race, this was all you guys this weekend. We weren't very good in the first practice, but we were good when it counted. Mike?
Another guy who's commenting about the restarts was Martin Truex Jr., who brought it home 3rd this afternoon. What were those restarts like?
Yeah, they weren't too good for us. We had some good ones early in the race, and then it just seemed like we could never get in the right lane, and it seemed like we were always in the wrong spot. We finally got on the outside where we wanted to be on that one where we were 4th, and the 19, and I don't know what happened, the 3 jumped it, and the 19 spun his tires and took us backwards. So we just couldn't get in the right lane, but all in all, a good day for a Furniture Row Chevy. Cole and the guys did a great job. We had a loose wheel at one point in the race and lost some track position, and then just fought all day. We passed a lot of cars, just couldn't ever get that track position we needed to fight for the win. Felt like we were maybe as good as a 20, close at least, and it'd been nice to see if we could have fought it out with him.
It seems like it's been a long time coming, these top 5s. It's been a while. Do you feel like you're gaining momentum, heading in the right direction as we get closer to the chase?
Man, honestly, we've really had momentum. We've had such fast cars. I really feel like Watkins Glen, we had to race 1 and we got a flat, and I felt like Pocono, we were right there, and with the fastest car at the end of the race and ran out of gas. So we've been doing what we need to. We've probably been gambling a little bit too much and maybe being a little bit too aggressive, but all in all, the guys have brought fast race cars, and if we can just not make mistakes and be consistent and execute, there's no reason we can't run the top 5 every week and contend for some more wins. So got a couple more weeks before the chase, and we're gearing up for that, and hopefully we'll be able to come out of the box strong when it starts.
This was definitely a strong run for Martin Truex Jr. 3rd here in Michigan, Dave.
Sixth for Carl Edwards today, safely in the chase. What did you learn about competition here with this package in your race car?
I learned a bunch, but the biggest thing is it's just cool to be part of the JGR team right now. These cars are fast. We had a little bit of restart trouble with Austin. That was really frustrating because with this package, the restarts are so important. I mean, Eris outfitted everybody around here with the good modems and everything, so I know they get the.
They all saw it.
They got high def replay up there. I know that, and I just wish NASCAR would have called that and helped us a little bit there. But anyway, it probably didn't matter. We had some sort of electrical issue, dropped back, had a really fun restart, and then got back up to sixth, I guess. But just really good day for Matt and for everybody. Even no matter what package, our guys have been working hard. TRD, all of our guys at JGR and Eris, it's been good.
Strong day for all the Gibbs cars. Rick?
Absolutely. A reason to celebrate, especially for the 20. Late in that race, something caught my eye. Steve, we were watching the car, and the right side skirt looked to be flared out. And we knew because of last year, the rules, they said you can't flare that out. But you've looked back at it, and you've seen how this happened.
Yeah, the competitor in me saw it in the closing laps, and I wanted to know how that side skirt got to where it was. There's a distinct rule that says you can't flare these side skirts on purpose, but we're going to see here at the lap 100 pit stop for the 20 of Matt Kenseth. As you watch the jack man, he's attempting to put the jack under the jack post. He misses. It peels the side skirt up. He slides it back underneath. He catches the post. That is, without a doubt, not on purpose. If you were going to flare the side skirt for an advantage, you wouldn't want to do it way closer to the rear tire, out underneath the tailpipes. That would be an advantage. That right there is really lucky that the jackman did a good job of not tearing the entire door off the car. He recovered so well that I didn't even see it on the pit stop, but the competitor never goes away. And as I saw him making those laps, I wanted to know how that skirt got there, and it was definitely a mistake there, Marty.
Well, let's talk to Jason Radcliffe about that. A lot of people talking about that right side skirt. When did that happen and what happened?
It probably was I think it was the third stop, maybe the second one. It was green flag stop. Jackman came in there, got underneath the jack post, and Matt rolled forward a little bit. And actually, it slowed the stop down quite a bit. I would like to sit here and say that was by design. But, yeah, that's what happened. The jack slid under it, and they had to reset and obviously bent the side skirt.
Do you think that made a tremendous advantage for you guys or not really?
No, I would say we were leading by a pretty good margin before that happened. So, I don't know. It probably didn't hurt anything, obviously, but I think either way, we had a pretty good Dollar General Camry today.
I asked Matt this question. When was the last time he had a car this dominant? When was the last time you made a car this dominant?
I don't know. I would say the last race that I remember would probably be Kansas 2013. We sat on the pole and led a lot of laps and ended up putting it in victory lane. So that's probably similar to this.
All right, there's a lot of trophy celebrating going on, so we're going to let Jason go and enjoy that with his race team, Rick.
Absolutely.
It's not a much better answer than that happened about lap 100, and we led 146 laps. So I would say that Jason Ratcliffe, he did a spectacular job. He assembled a very fast 20 Dollar General Toyota, and Matt Kenseth did a great job, and they ran well, as did most of the JGR cars did there, Kelly.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, remember, he started from the rear of the field in a backup car. You bring it home in 11th, Kyle. You pad that points position over 30th place. How successful was this day for you?
It was a success. It wasn't what we wanted, no doubt. We had a really, really fast car yesterday in practice, and I screwed up and wrecked that car. So it was a winning car, maybe not the winning car, but congratulations to our teammate Matt Kenseth and the 20 bunch. It's really good times for Joe Gibbs Racing right now. Guys are doing awesome. So our interstate batteries Toyota Camry was good today. A lot better car than I expected to have. So real proud of all my guys. Can't thank them enough for all the long hours they put in last night and this morning to get me prepared and ready with a good piece to go out there and do our best. And if all things worked out a little bit better, maybe we would have finished 4th or 5th. But where we ended up there, just outside the top 10, doesn't matter. We just got to continue on with our points gathering and go on to next week.
All right, a solid day for the 18 team, Rick.
Very impressive. We'll take a look at the results. Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Warren Truex Jr., Austin Dillon, Denny Hamlin, all top 5 finishes today. The second top 5 finish in the career of Austin Dillon.
Kyle Busch, we just talked to Kyle Busch. Great recovery starting last on the day. Paul Menard, Kyle Larson, Eric Almirola, 14th, and Casey Kane. I know 15th isn't great, but that's a rebound from the tough luck they've had in the last few weeks.
Sam Hornish finished on the lead lap at 19. Greg Biffle had a disappointing day. I know they had high hopes coming into Michigan, a place they've been so good.
Yeah, the big picture when you look at some of these drivers, Jimmy Johnson, a bad finish for that team, comes home 39th, but even worse, the 41st finish for Clint Boyer, finishing 41st. And of course, Clint Boyer right on the bubble. He's on that cut line, 16th, now only 23 points in front of Eric Almirola.
Yeah, and with 3 races still before we set the chase at completely different racetracks, Bristol, Darlington, Richmond, there's a lot yet to be determined on who's going to make the playoffs.
And for more post-race coverage, we go to our infield studio. We send it over to Chris Devoto, Kyle Petty, and Brian Vickers.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.